Okay. Hello, hello. What's up, Tabala? I'll see you when you get back. But hello, everybody. It is time to continue the reading of FF10-2. Uh, what is this called again? Price of Eternity. So, let us continue. What songs shall we play while we read? I don't know. I guess we'll play more Besaid music or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll let the music play out this time. Unless I think that a certain song will fit better, but we'll start with Besaid, because who doesn't love Besaid music? Alright, but it shouldn't be too loud. Shouldn't be too loud. But let's begin. Let's begin, because we've got a lot to read. Boom, boom. Just make sure it's not too loud. It shouldn't be too loud. It's very a lot lower than what I put when I'm playing games, so should be fine. So let's begin. We left off with first a quick recap. We left off where Titus and Yuna were stranded at sea after their ship, the Oryx Ace. It was broken, and then they had to fend off creatures, and then they were stranded at sea on like a shark thingy. And then they were trying to swim to an island in the distance, and they were struggling. But then something, we don't know yet what that something is, saved them. And I presume that it will take them to the island or something? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But let's continue. Shall we? Chapter 14. Vom dreamt of producing an Aeon and becoming immortal. Well, that's kind of a lot. He would live with Kush, and when the young woman would go into the far plain to flower there, Vom would fall in with another summoner and would fight forever. He had often wondered what Aeon Cores dreamt about, and how their creatures saw the world. Maybe Aeon Core... I don't know. We'll see. And how their creatures saw the world. He would never know it. He was going to die like an ordinary man. Gunshots had resounded behind him. A Bidol in yellow, with a clumsy walk, had appeared suddenly. Smoke was still escaping from the barrel of the rifle he was tightening under his left arm. Vom did not know how many bullets he had fired. In the bedroom, everyone except for the newcomer was in a stupor. Then the hirsute, Bidol, insulted his comrade vehemently. Kush stood up straight, screeched, and fell again onto the bed. She could not stand. Ifanel had to support her. Vom was going to faint. Kush was screaming, but Vom did not want to answer her. She was getting on his nerves. As for the high-pitched balls of the Bidols, they were wearing him out. The owner of the rifle was vociferating, his right arm raised, with no hand at the end. Yikes. His stump was wrapped with its dressing soaked with blood. That's quite a lot of pain, I imagine. He has come to take revenge on me. Vom's life against the hand of the Bidol. In the eyes of the guard, the deal appeared to be hardly stable. Somehow, like this story of hell and flowers. How do you feel? Fonal asked. Vom would have wanted to tell him how his question was stupid, but he could not speak any more. Are you in pain? Vom was not suffering. His death was imminent. Oh no, Vom! He worked so hard, though. Killed so many people. To defend his peoples. He directed his regard towards Kush, paralyzed by stupefaction. So many big words. Ifanel was holding her in his arms. It was certainly one of the worst viewings that the guard could bring along with him in his death. At the risk of turning himself into a terrifying monster. Ifanel. Just a whisper, but it was enough. Without releasing Kush's shoulders, the summoner leaned over to him. Send me in the world beyond. I don't want to go into hell or become an afraid creature. Interesting. Alright. Vom. Oh, Vom, Kush spoke. I am sorry. Summoner Ifanel, who bears the name of the god of beauty, perform the rite. Vom. Oh no. Kush burst into tears. He continued to ignore her. From now on, this was the only way to punish her. Vom, Ivalna answered with a grimace. You're mistaken. Vom would have liked to listen to the rest, but the night was falling in his world. He closed his eyes. He had to get rid of his regrets, else he would turn into a monster. Hell was awaiting him. He had heard say of that in some cases. If the deceased was too angry, sending rites could fail. He had to put himself in a favorable state of mind. Hurry, Ivalna. No, Kush shouted. Vom did not understand her reaction. Why does she refuse me the ceremony? Does she want me to return as a monster, to go to hell? This is her who is punishing me. He had taken on the name of the god of order, but he had let himself get sucked into the chaos of passion. This was the source of all his errors. His place was indeed in hell. I wonder what kinds of tortures are awaiting me over there, Vom thought, whose real name was Bria. Wait a minute! Wait a minute! Is this the same guy? Maybe this was the past. And the... interesting. So maybe the Bria we met in Besaid, that Titus met. The last guy Titus talked to before they went on the boat. Maybe that's the same guy. Maybe that's Vom. Interesting. That's cool. That is very cool. Let's see how it plays out, though. Chapter 15. Yuna woke up on a beach, Titus beside her. Lying on her back, she was contemplating the sky. The light was strong, the sun at its zenith. They had not fainted for a long time. A slight noise made her head spin. Titus's mouth was open and a little crab was trying to enter it. She got rid of it, then stood up slowly. Thereafter, she caught hold of the young man under her shoulders and started to drag him to a shady place. She was moving backwards, step by step, while encouraging herself in an undertone. The heels of the young man were digging two little furrows in the sand. Yuna was watching in turns these marks, which extended as far as the sea, the beach behind her, and, beyond, the trees in their shade. Without being discouraged, she kept hauling him. Her back was in pain, and the sun was burning her skin. If only I had still my clothes. She remembered vaguely having removed them. Titus moved. Ouch! Yuna stopped immediately. Are you hurt somewhere? Yes, under my shoulders. It's you who's hurting me. This is very literally translated. She let go of him. Is that so? In that case, you'll manage everything by yourself. Appropriate. I'm not complaining. If I'm in pain, then I'm alive. Can you keep hauling me? My waist is killing me. What a granny. What in the world? Titus! She let herself fall onto the sand close to him. May I, young man? I'm too old for this kind of stuff. The phrase, a gift of Yevon, crossed her mind, but she remained silent. She used it less often from now on, but it was difficult to get out of a habit learned during her childhood. Your shoulders must be suffering, Titus noticed with compassion. There you go. That's the way to do it. She nodded to confirm it. If he was like she remembered, he was going to go on with an optimistic declaration. But a tanned skin is very pretty. She laughed. Ha 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 ha. Indeed, Enrico is a relevant example of this. But me, I'm burning, and that's all. Without cream or sphere, I run the risk to end up grilled. Sup, William? Let's get ourselves in the shade, then. That's what I was doing, but an uncooperative person stopped me. Titus burst out laughing. Ha ha ha! Just kidding. Yuna ran her hand over her red shoulder. That's great. If I'm in pain, then I'm alive, isn't it? I know a better way to make sure of that. He leaned over Yuna, who moved back. Hold on, young man. 2 times, huh? Did Yuna die yet? No, they didn't die. They were saved by someone. I don't know how, but they got saved. And they're still fighting for survival right now. Don't worry, she won't die. Otherwise, FF10-3 can't happen. Well, Titus wasn't... he didn't survive the end of 10, right? Never mind. Let's just keep reading. Really? Oh, wait. Really? We're in the clear. Don't you think that's a cause for celebration? He came close to her once again. His lips deformed in an exaggerated pout. Yuna giggled and pushed him away with a finger. Someone may be observing us. Look at this orange tower. It's like in Besaid. Titus ceased to mess around and scrutinized the surroundings. He was showing the beginning of a path which sank into the interior. That's right. We can expect the Auric to show up momentarily. Yet we're somewhere else. The landscape is the same, but some details are missing. Oh no, they're in an alternate dimension! Ultimisi used time compression. There were neither wood pontoons nor stakes where the ships moored, nor rets stacked on the sand. The storm, Titus exclaimed. It might have blown away everything. No way, dude. I don't think so. The beach would be crawling with people. They must be searching for us everywhere. Before leaving the village, she had advised Waka of her intention of getting on the Ace. Now he must have been dead worried. She shook her head. It's like Besaid, but it's a different island. I really wonder where we are. There's only one way to find it out. Let's go. Chapter 16. So far, these first two chapters were pretty short. They were pretty short, the first two. Chapter 16. They took the path towards the inland and quickly reached a fork. If they were in Besaid, the right path would lead them to the ruins. But they struggled with a river they could have only crossed by swimming. You're only halfway? Yeah, I know. I'm only halfway. In terms of number of chapters, the length of the chapters could be different. Because there were a couple of long ones in the beginning. So we'll see. We'll see. But we will read on. But they struggled with the river they could only have crossed by swimming. The two young ones considered having spent enough time in water today, and decided to turn around. Yeah, I can imagine. They were stranded at sea. They climbed the steep slope, and they took the direction of the waterfall's path. I can picture this part of Besaid in my head. Thirsty, they were dreaming of the fresh water falling from the cliff. It really does look like Besaid, Titus noticed. That's right, yet something is strange. I can see remnants of human occupation, but they evoke a people different from ours. She stopped to examine a stone statue on the verge. It reached their knees and represented a man. But because of time and elements, the details had faded and the back had disappeared. He has a beard and a staff. It's an old man, Yuna said. A high summoner? Titus suggested. The young woman shook her head, as she was not convinced. They stood before the statue for a few moments, but did not discover anything about it. They set off and felt soon the atmosphere cooling off. The rumble of the water finally reached them. They rushed forward at the double, while betting on the one who would get there first. A race! The waterfall's path reached the cliff, in a place where a river was throwing itself into the void. The air was always fresh here, even in the middle of the hottest day. Of course, the description matched Besaid's one, but this unknown island did not disappoint them. Under the thin rain, Yuna raised her face and opened her mouth. Titus imitated her. It feels so good, the young woman rejoiced. The fresh water was dissipating the burning sensation on her entire body. I feel like a new person, her partner went further. Yes. You think, Titus started hesitant, you think we've drowned? So we would be dead. I don't know. I never died. Yuna answered. What in the world? Well, duh. Yuna doesn't die, of course. That's Titus who did that. But technically, it begs the question, was Titus ever alive to begin with? If he was a dream the whole time? These are the questions that need answering. Titus burst out laughing. Yet the young girl did not want to mess around. A lot of factors allowed living beings to remain after their death. Yes, if you're tethered to the world after death, like Oren was. She was thinking about Unsense, yep, like Oren, the legendary guardian who 2 years earlier had guided them during their journey. Seymour and the great Maester Mika had chosen this path too. Ew, Seymour. Someone greatly attached to this world would continue to lead a life almost unchanged, and nobody would ever notice otherwise. True. I didn't notice Oren until we were at the far plane. Then I knew something was fishy. Faith, indispensable for every summoning, spent eternity between life and death. Aeons deceased to appear in the hereafter, much like a good half of monsters, and even sin, could be considered as incarnate spirits. Death had not stopped. When the young girl finished her explanation, Titus appeared to shiver. I prefer not to think about all of this. Let's say we're really alive, and let's move on to something else. It's you who broached the subject, but fine. What do you want to talk about? For example, what about you? What about what you remember? Do you remember the shark in our swimming? Yes, I've seen the island far away, and I've hoped it was Besaid. Then I've swallowed water twice. I've spitted and I've wanted to vomit. I've been in pain for a moment, and then nothing else. Titus was looking at her, visibly tense. She smiled at him. I've woken up on the beach. I don't know what happened between these two moments. He lowered his eyes and wondered what he was thinking. And she wondered what he was thinking. When he raised his head, his face was serious. I wanted to tell you something important. Don't ever give up. Don't sacrifice yourself for my sake. Living without you. I don't want that. I have something to tell you too. Her hands on her hips, she stared at him. It wasn't easy. It never was. But you saved me so many times in the past. And I don't want to call you for help anymore. I lived without you, and I don't want this to happen again. Well, I don't know what I'll do if it happens once again, but I'm sure of something. I refuse to request help from someone who disdains mine. Ooh. Yeah, we need some reciprocation of help. You gotta ask, you giveth, and you gotta take it. Wait. You gotta give and you gotta receive. It's not one-sided, I guess. That's what I'm saying. What are you talking about? In the water, you were exhausted, and in the end, both of us drowned. I'm sorry. It will take some time for me to forgive you. Okay, cool. She shook her head so hard that her wet hairs fluttered around her. Then she left in the direction of the village, assuming they were in Besaid. Titus followed in her steps whilst whispering new apologies. Una told him what was weighing on her. Now she was feeling better. What do you remember? She asked him. I had the impression that my father had come to save us. He was huge. Braska's final Aeon. He spread his arms to illustrate his words. Maybe it was hallucination, he continued. Anyway, we were very lucky. For sure they were very fortunate. She decided to be grateful, without trying to know more about this. 2 years earlier, she would have decided in a gift of Yevon. But this sensation, the fact that it's impossible for us to say it's real or imaginary, Titus continued. I had the impression I was taken back 2 years, when Sin took me here. Yeah, the way he came back, when you see it in the good/perfect end, it's very similar to how he came to be saved. Well, actually, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. She did not answer. After a few quiet moments, he started to talk more loudly. What if it was the same thing right now? As if we were in Besaid, but from another world. I don't know. It's another world, I'm sure it is, he repeated. How can you be so sure? Why not? After all, he had already witnessed a similar situation. He lived it, and it had taken him some time to understand it. In this case, can we go back home? The question seemed natural for her, but surprise was written on Titus's face. They were not in the same state of mind, apparently. I'm cold, let's move, she declared joyfully before setting off. If they were in Besaid, the village should not be too far. They just had to go through the ruined path and come back down on the other side. She did not know if Titus was right, but his theory had the advantage to clarify a muddled situation. They were walking in silence. Una would have wanted to comment on the characteristics of the landscape, but Titus was staying several steps behind, as if he was upset. He had had to be delighted to be with her in this world. Not forever, of course, but until they find a way to return home. They could explore the island, exchange caresses and kisses. He did not think about those who were worried about them. He was not preoccupied with this. I thought he knew me better than that. I'm always concerned about others. Look, Una, it's amazing, he suddenly exclaimed lively. She turned around, but he was showing a spot above her head. She turned around once again and discovered a sparkling orange tower. It's so bright, it's like a brand new one. They were staying on the ruins path, yet the construction in front of them could have been painted the day before. With a cry of surprise, Titus rushed towards the foot of the structure. That's from where Kimari jumped. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I know where they're talking about right already. He was right. It was indeed the same place, but yet. Oh, Yuna, it's working. He beckoned to her, and she complied. Closely, we could indeed hear a slight whirring. I wonder what it's used for, she whispered. He shrugged to show his ignorance. What about the village? He said suddenly. He left at the double in the direction of it, and she hurried behind him. Titus was shuffling, waiting for Yuna. In Besaid, the pass where he had stopped overhung the village. A stele designed to protect travelers was supposed to be rising at the edge of the path. Yuna caught up with her partner and lowered her eyes. The village was not there, but everything else here matched her memories. Come over here, he said. He was examining a stone statue that rose in the place of the stele. What is a stele? I should probably look it up. Google. The central core of the stem and root of a vascular plant. But this is not a plant. It's, oh. Wait. I think I know what they're talking about. I think it's this thing that Walker prayed at. The one that in 10 when you, at the beginning of the game where Walker's like, you gotta pray to Yevon before you leave the village. I think that's what they're talking about, maybe. He was examining a stone statue that rose in place of the stele. It was depicting a young man, life-size, sitting on a pedestal. Even if its details had faded through time, the figure was still recognizable. The man who was represented had rather thin wrists and ankles, and a chest, Titus noticed. It's a girl. What in the world? Like a literal chest or like booba? Oh well. It's a girl. Her hands have disappeared, but I think she's praying like this. It's Aerith. No, I'm kidding. He turned talk into action. He guessed right. Yuna approached the statue in order to examine it closely. She has wings, Titus said, now standing behind the statue. And look, there's an inscription on the base. Yuna came beside him. Let's see. Lucera. The young man. Oh, Lucera. That's the goddess that they were praying to. Vom and crew or whatever. Maybe the name of the model who posed for this work? Probably. I wonder who she was. If people have erected a statue, she must have been famous, Titus noticed, on the island and elsewhere. But I don't know anything about Sphere's history, so... Yuna was more educated than him about this point, but the name Lucera did not ring a bell. Look. Oh, look. He was pointing at the place where the village should have been. It must be what Lucera is looking at, and she's praying. That means there's something down there. From where they were standing, they could only see a forest. Break. Probably they walked down. As Yuna guessed, they did not find anything special where the village should have been standing. Hair, grass, and dense trees constituted a forest typical of the southern islands, rustling with familiar insects. It's the same island, yet different. I think you're right, Titus. We must return to your world, Titus answered with a serious voice. Why? For 1,000 years, machines have been forbidden by Yevon's teachings, right? However, we heard the tower working. The village doesn't exist, but the same goes for the shrine. What if Yevon's teachings had not reached it? Not at that time, at least. She nodded slowly. War was raging before the precepts, right? Yes. Riku told me about Shiryan and Len. I wonder if we're in their time, so we're 1,000 years back in time. That would be interesting. Titus first went 1,000 years ahead, and then now they go back. I don't ever want to find myself in the middle of fights. I heard that summoners were sent to the front. Ah. Since he had started to set out his theory, she was only answering with monosyllables. She was not able to think. His words were frightening her, because he was most probably right. Really? Don't worry, there must be a way to return home. I mean, I guess, because the village isn't there, right? And Besaid is still the island of Besaid. Are you sure about that? If there was a way to return, she wanted to know it. Maybe would it manage to appease her anxiety? If we can pass in one direction, we can do the same in another, like Sin. It picked me up from Xanarkand and has taken me in your world. Same goes for Orin. This must be why I saw my father before our arrival. He wanted me to understand that we could do the same thing in the other direction. Maybe. Yuna thought his logic was a bit fragile, but she was grateful towards him because he was trying to do his best to reassure her. Yeah, good job, Titus. Thanks, that's kind of you. He appeared to be relieved when he saw her accepting his reasoning. "So let's go," he said. "Where?" "Well, we're going to explore the island to find a way to return home." One of the vaguest objectives, but she could not find anything better. Hence, she followed in his footsteps. They were climbing back up the pass when Yuna let out a cry of exclamation. "What's wrong?" "This path, what is it? Where does it lead? Since the village doesn't exist, lots of people must have passed through to shape it." "Ooh. I hadn't thought of that. It could just have been some rambler. This place is kind of pretty." "You think so?" "I don't know. It was just an idea." He may be right once again. "Oh," Titus exclaimed. He hurried into the hair grass. "Come over here." He had found another statue representing an old man, which had preserved more details than the previous one. This area was certainly safer against the elements. "He has a staff," Titus noticed, and a bag on his back. "He reminds me of Owaka," he said while laughing. "Owaka, my man!" She imitated him. Owaka the 23rd was a merchant they had met during their journey in Spira, of course. "You don't need to remind me, Book. He's my man." People could see him in a lot of places, and he devoted himself to keep his business running. Yeah, he was a good guy. "Maybe it's his island," Titus continued. "After all, he was the 23rd. Look at his staff." "Yeah, he is Owaka the 23rd. He's got 22 other Owakas before him." "It's not the same as the one on the other statue," Yuna noticed. "Yes, this part there." He was pointing at a little horizontal bar near the hand of the Wrinkly. On one side a beak was engraved, and on the other a big cat tail. "Cat girl, or cat guy, cat boy." "This beak," Titus began. He followed the drawing with his finger before pointing at the direction indicated by the bar. Yuna only saw a clump of trees with big trunks, certainly centenarian. Titus rushed towards them in order to examine them. "Everything seems right, but I wonder what the meaning of these symbols is." Yuna looked around her. "Everything seems right, but I wonder what the meaning of these symbols is." Yuna looked around her. The copse in question was no different from the other ones. She cast her eyes over the statue again, and tried to remember the one they had found earlier. "Stay here. I'm going to make sure of something. I'll be back." She rushed forwards on the path in the direction of the waterfalls. "Where are you going?" "To find Owaka." They passed the statue of Lucera, and took the road for the ruins again. The first statue designing the old man looked like the one they had found near the forest. They took the same model and slightly modified his posing," Yuna concluded. "But isn't it Owaka?" "No, and we may never know who it is. But look there, the beak." It appeared that it was indicating the direction of the second statue, near the forest. "Let's go back and see," she shouted. And she left in all haste, abandoning a taken-back Titus. "I didn't know you were so impatient," he said when he caught up with her. "I've spent too much time waiting." "I only came back yesterday. You could be gentler with me." "I would like to, but you spend your days complaining." "Fine, I didn't say anything." Chapter 17. They held a meeting in the shade of the trees standing in the waterfall's path. Their priority was the meticulous exploration of the island. Assuming that they would meet inhabitants, they should show them that they did not have the intention of doing something bad. The two young people also agreed to stay on watch and detect every hostile person, in order to take flight. If they were parted from each other, they would meet on the beach where they had washed up. "I think that's all," Titus concluded. "Those statues are intriguing me," Yuna added. "If we find another one, I want to examine it." Titus acquiesced, and she resumed. "There certainly must be someone living on this island. I hope the populace is not hostile." "Same here, but even if they're hostile, they'll definitely become milder when they'll see you." Oh wait, it was reversed. There certainly must be someone living on this island. I hope the populace is not hostile." "Same here, but even if they're hostile, they'll definitely become milder when they'll see you." "Why?" He pointed at Yuna's body. The young woman was only wearing a black bikini. Okay, dude. "I think I'll never get used to seeing you wearing that. It's arousing." "I hope you won't be mad with me being so frank." "Why do you sound so proud?" He blushed. "To hide my embarrassment," he confessed with a little laugh. Okay, Yuna's in a bikini. Cool. They started to explore the island in every nook and cranny, without neglecting one path, even if it has just been traced by animals. They found other statues representing some old men, and all of them had a common trait. The staff always indicates dead-end paths, a cliff that overhangs the sea, a a copse of trees too dense to go through. Titus summed up. That's right. I wonder if... It doesn't make sense. Why not show us the path to follow rather than the obstacles to avoid? It would be more practical, really. But on such an island, people don't need signs. Therefore, the statues must be there for the foreigners. Like us, for example? But if we follow the indications, it leads us to a cliff. What are we supposed to understand? That it's dangerous? It's a waste of time. Without taking into account the fact that we could fall at night and break our necks. What a deceitful old man. Those statues would be there to waste visitors' time, or lead them to fall from the cliff, the young woman summarized. I would like to have a weapon, Titus declared. Clothes in my case, but by dint of passing through the shrubs, I scratched myself everywhere. Oh no. Titus, why didn't you give her your coat, or something like that? I'm afraid that those who could offer you their wardrobe would prefer to throw us in the sea. I think it's unlikely. I'm willing to think that those who live there are friendly, and that the statues warn us of danger. Maybe are they there to prevent kids from getting lost or hurting themselves while they're playing? It was making more sense for her. Interesting. Well, it's clear now, she continued. In your opinion, where can we find most people? We've only found trees where the village should have been, he reminded her. Maybe should we forget the Besaid we currently know? Okay, but at your home, inhabitants settled there for a good reason, I guess. The shrine has been built first, then the workers settled in around it. Why building it in this place? To prevent Sin from destroying it. But we found no building on this island. Sin must probably not exist in this time. If we've been taken back 1,000 years, she pouted. I don't know if he can be certain about this date. Titus folded his arms and raised his eyes to heaven. I'd like to return to the place where the village should have been standing, he said. Is it okay for you? Why? This dear Lucera is intriguing me. Why is she up there? Turn to this specific place. I have the impression that she's more important than the old man. All right, let's go. All right. They were taking for the second time a path which led nowhere, when they noticed that another path broke away from it. Without conferring, they held hands and hurried to it. They held hands. Before premarital hand-holding? I don't know about that, dude. Yuna quickly discovered a piece of fabric fastened highly in a tree. Ooh, signs of life? A little farther down the path, they found a second one, then a third one, and these hare and hounds led them deep into the forest. These fabrics had not been fastened at the same time. Some of them were washed out and ripped, whereas others, newer, were green like the leaves. Over there, Titus shouted joyfully, every time he found a new piece of fabric. He was running from one to another, without caring about the branches which were smacking him. Yuna, in her case, wanted to find clothes more than ever. The scratches on her body were not painful, but irritating. You're lagging behind, Yuna. I'm coming, she answered without enthusiasm. Titus stopped himself and turned around. Show a bit more enthusiasm. We're going to find someone soon, and the solution to all our problems. This song's a little bit louder, I think. Let me lower it just a little bit. Should be fine. Either way, but just want to be sure. He cannot be so naive, she thought. Whosoever hid so carefully deep into the forest did not welcome intruders with open arms. You know, Yuna, Oren told me one day that you were difficult to read. I remember that. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I remember that. However, your face reflects all of your emotions. For some reason, I'm remembering that he said the opposite. I don't know. However, your face reflects all of your emotions. She pressed her hands against her cheeks. Which cheeks? No, I'm kidding. Absolutely not. Wait, how did you press your hands against, like this? Absolutely not. I don't know how she did it, but sure. I'm sorry, he continued. I've only been complaining since my return. I'm too impatient. He opened and closed his mouth several times before resuming with difficulty. From your point of view, I've disappeared for 2 years. That's not insignificant, but yet, you've welcomed me as if we had been separated the day before. I must thank you. As soon as I'm silent or tired, he thinks... Oh. As soon as I'm silent or tired... Wait, who's saying this? Oh yeah, that was Titus. As soon as I'm silent or tired, he thinks I'm mad with him, and he becomes angry or apologizes. I would like him to stop talking about this. Oh well. He must have read what she was thinking about on her face, because he continued. I'll be done soon, but I wanted to tell you that I intended to regain your confidence. And to do so, I must stop behaving like a spoiled child. I must pull myself together, become a good man, like Oren. Back then, I thought he was a pain in the neck. But now I know I want to be like him. And if I managed to do so, She acquiesced, and she wanted to laugh. He could have put into practice this resolution without saying such a thing. But he had done it to be sure that she knows what efforts he was going to produce. What a child! He was thirsty for recognition and safety. This song is quiet, I think. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. He was thirsty for recognition and safety, and she could not ignore his lack of maturity. This is why they had quarreled several times while they had just met again. 2 years. For 2 years, time had stopped for Titus. 17 and 19 years old. 20 and 22. Oh, she's 20 now, okay. And he's 22. Oh, wait, what? 25 and 27. Okay, they're just comparing ages that are 2 years apart. For the moment, their age difference was a problem, but if they stayed together for a long time, it would fade away. He irritated her sometimes. Despite everything, she had not changed her mind. She wanted to age by his side. Oh. This was her will since their first meeting, really. What are you thinking about? Titus asked. Why? You're smiling. That's secret. Yuna, he answered with a begging tone. It was funny and moving. Ouch. Ouch. He had rubbed himself on the back of his head before turning around. A balloon similar to a blitzball was rolling slowly at his foot. Ooh! Hopefully it's not a bomb. I wonder who its owner is. The young man was taken back whilst looking around him. He took a step forward to pick up the object, and Yuna felt tears stinging her eyes. Uh-oh. That's not good. Her legs were shivering. She squatted and folded her arms around her shoulders. She was suddenly overwhelmed by an unbearable sadness. Oh no. A powerful roar sounded through the air, and the young woman was thrown backwards. An object fell beside her. No, not an object. It was Titus. His face was showing an expression of surprise, but only his head was visible. What? His body had disappeared. What the heck? Yuna lost consciousness. When the world just happened. Think of him. His name is Titus, right? An unknown voice was... Oh, think of him. This is Oren. Think of him. His name is Titus, right? An unknown voice was murmuring in Yuna's ears. Yes, she answered. And you? Who are you? I am. In this world, I may consider myself as a divinity. A god? The voice carried on after a silence. Do not worry about me. You must only think about him. Okay. It was an unfortunate accident. It was an unfortunate accident. Excuse me? You do not know what happened, right? Tell me more about him, please. How did you meet? What is this? This is strange. It was the day I became a summoner. It was the first time I was establishing a link with Valifor. When Titus appeared, I knew immediately that he was different from the other men. Really? Love at first sight? No, I think he is a very normal man. Tell me more. How much do you love him? Think about it. Okay. Are you crying? I remember the day when I first realized I could not tell him my feelings. Think about happy moments, if there was any. Very well. I will now use some of my magic, but it will not be easy. I understand. I cannot erase your memories, only seal them. However, something may release them. Do you understand? Yes, I don't understand. Great, let us resume. You met him the day you became a summoner. Then what? Every moment spent with Titus spread out in front of Yuna, and all of these memories flew past her like grains of sand and into a tight fist. Whose is this hand? The young girl asked. Huh? Her question did not find an answer. The owner of his fist was hidden in the darkness. However, Yuna's mind was certain. This is yours. She grabbed it and put it against her cheek. This is interesting. Chapter 18. Yuna! Yuna! Someone was shaking her shoulder. She opened her eyes and saw Titus leaning over her. She did not recognize the ceiling above him. You scared me, he sighed. You weren't responding at all. I thought you were dead. Dead? Me or you? She asked. A searing pain immediately manifested itself inside her head, and she held it in her hands. You all right? You must have hit your head strongly, the young man declared. She was not able to remember why she had asked this strange question about her possible death. She appeared to have a feeling about something atrocious related to Titus, and about a will to save him. I have more than anything the impression that I cried a lot, she answered. He lay beside her. Me either. I don't remember what happened, but I'm hurting all over. We found rags in the trees, and we thought they would lead us to a village. I remember now. We've wanted to explore the forest Lucera seemed to protect, and I can't remember. She searched inside her memories, but only found a vast sadness. I ran after something, Titus said. Una stood up straight, very carefully, in order to not awaken her headache. We must stop thinking about this, she declared. Easier said than done. It's coming to my mind continuously. It's because we're stuck inside this little dark room. Let's go out. She took the time to look around her. The walls and the floor were made of stone. A filthy smell was making her nauseous, but she did not know if it was coming from the room or the air itself. She got back on her feet slowly, and noticed she was dressed. Cool. She examined her new green dress. Ooh, I want to know what the dress looks like. Ornamented with geometrical patterns on the sleeves and the hem. Is it like a Yevon dress type thing? They went out and found themselves in a hall, like the one Shalinda wears. They were out and found themselves in a hallway with a tortuous floor. They saw other places, similar to the one they had just left. The place was dilapidated, and they found no clue about its function. As they were exploring, the smell, still strong, was making Una retch more and more vehemently. They had no idea about the path to follow, or what they were about to find there. Yet they had to run this risk. But what smells so bad? She ended up asking. I have difficulty in breathing. This is a very ancient smell. Don't be offended, but I smelled something similar the first time I entered the temple. In Besaid? But this is my home. That's why I asked you not to be offended. You always smell good. And I got used to the smell of the temple. She understood quickly that he was right. It's like the Cloister of Trials, she noticed. In Besaid, it leads to the Chamber of the Faith, at the end of the temple. But of course, that's right, Titus exclaimed. Una, in her case, found every conclusion premature. Finding similarities with a place she was familiar with was appeasing her, but there were some differences too. The mysterious corridor was much bigger than the one in Besaid. They turned on a corner, and the impression of familiarity vanished immediately. This corridor should not have existed. It's too big, no? Titus asked. Yes, but if the hallway and the rooms from now on were underground, would the place correspond to the temple in her mind? She was not sure about that. Interesting. It's bugging me, she exclaimed. What's wrong? I don't understand anything. How are we supposed to return home if I don't understand anything? You're asking too much, Una. She felt anger building inside her, but he took her hand straight away and resumed. I have a hunch that everything will be fine from now on. Why? Because people living here rescued us. They wouldn't have done it if they had bad intentions. Still, hand in hand, the young people pushed the door on which revealed the hallway. It opened onto the top step of long stairs which went down towards a huge circular room. Yeah, I think I can picture this. Just like the temple in Besaid, they're coming out of the door that leads to the Cloister of Trials, I'm pretty sure. At least that's what I'm picturing. Just like the temple in Besaid, Una whispered. But they're not high summoners, Titus answered, while pointing out that the stone statues lined up along the wall. These people are all dead, Una thought without knowing the reason. She was feeling Titus's hand holding her strongly. Look, the statue of Lucera, the young man whispered. She's so sad. That's right, but why do you think that she's sad? Because all the people who died here. The past of this place contains so much pain. How can we be sure about this? She insisted. Someone wishes we understood him. Certainly the one who helped us. He may expect us to do something. But what? Let's look for it. You're right. You'll find it. I'm sure about it. She gave him a severe look, but a smile stretched her lips when she answered him. You sure are confident. In you, always. They're cute. When they're cute. Their unease vanished as they were exploring. They started to examine the statues which were enlivening the circular room. Each of them was perched on a base which bore an inscription, probably the name of the represented person. Titus quickly noticed the old man they had already met on the island. Supplied with a hat and a beard and a big bag, he was wearing a staff in his hand. The beak and the big cattail were present too. "That's not a waka," he declared while laughing. He pointed out at the name engraved on the base. Anli, god of travelers. Ooh, okay. We're getting some connections to the other story. Anli was one of the summoners who died, sadly. May you guide us on earth and on sea. And look at this one. He sidestepped to reveal another silhouette. Half naked, but covered with an impressive armor, Lucera was holding a light sword in her hand. Lucera, goddess of war, give us bravery and wisdom in the middle of battle. Protect us with your outspread wings. Thus, this frail little girl watched over the place. Titus hurried Una to examine the statues of the other divinities. Kush, goddess of abundance. Oh, so it seems all of the summoners were named after gods and goddesses. I think we learned that already, but I'm just affirming that. Give us our meal and the family to share it. Guard, protector of the far plane. Grant us calm and explosion. Vam, god of order, give us stability. Canela, goddess of the moon, protect us against darkness. Sloan, god of vengeance, appease our resentment. Mayo, god of the sun, steep us in your light. It's like tales and legends. Or when we say, victory, smile upon us. Yes. Never would have Una thought that the people had worshipped gods in the past. The only prayers she was aware of were reserved for highest summoners of Yevon, or for the faith who lay dormant in the Holy of Holies. Sometimes she had turned to the old man, who had provided guidance to Yevon during its learning. Maybe people worshipped divinities like these before the diffusion of the teachings. And Yevon would have supported that, Titus asked. Then, while imitating the voice of great Maester Micah, he exclaimed, I forbid you to pronounce those names. It seemed that Titus was the only one able to imitate him in this way, Una thought. He had a gift for that. Look at that. Look at that. The young man was showing a large plate on which were written columns of text. It's the list of the guards of the summoners, Titus declared. Guardians. Una felt her pulse beating faster. Summoners is written on this plate, she asked. Come, look for yourself. She came closer and the young man resumed loudly. Vam Sloan. Aren't they gods' names? Una asked. Yes, but I'm just reading what is written here. The young woman pouted. And this story is about summoners, she resumed. What does it mean? Summoners and their guards. Their guardians? Must have lived on this island and worshipped these gods. But summoning is a technique of Yevon. Maybe that's where you're mistaken, Titus answered with a pensive air. He appeared to feel uncomfortable. Remember, this technique appeared way before the teachings and the foundation of the church, he continued. You told me about the story related to the war between Bavel and Zanarkand. Summoners lived at that time, since Yevon sacrificed them. Another point I hadn't thought of. In my mind, Yevon had created faiths, but I was wrong. I feel like a fool. If I had pondered for a few moments, I would have understood that. It's because you have been raised with these faiths. After the war, the church had certainly extended its power all over Spira. Nobody could be at variance with them anymore. She thought of the Albed, which didn't follow their teachings, and of the bad treatment they had to endure. True. This place sends shivers down my spine. This place sends shivers down my spine, Titus declared. Let's get out of here, okay? Una acquiesced, and her partner headed for what should be the big door of the temple in Besaid. The young girl was about to follow in his footsteps when she surveyed the tiling. Summoners have treaded upon this floor, and summoners mean fates. Come, Una. Well, I would like to check something, but we must retrace our steps. What's on your mind? Where am I? I just lost my place. Oh, here. I wonder if the faith is still here. That's possible. In this case, you could use summoning. Yes. Oh, she's a summoner again. If that's the case. If they find the faith. Splendid. Titus sang splendid. But wait. If the war is still raging, you run the risk of being involved with it. No, I don't think so. I won't let it happen. So, where is the faith? Do you have any idea? If he's close and willing to... Oh, that's not a song from this. Should just play the Hymn of the Faith. If he's close and willing to provide me a summoning, I should be able to feel his presence, but right now I can't. He must be in a farther place, Titus concluded. But Yuna was thinking of another possibility. He may not be prone to meeting her. Few people knew that when it came to summoning. The initiative was not the job of the summoners, but Fate's. Oh, really? I didn't know that. You're right yet, she answered. He's not here. His chamber must be located at the end of the hallway, quite near the room where we've woken up. Let's go, Titus said. He set foot on stairs which connected the circular room to the corridor. No, wait. Why? Before that, I want to know more about this place. We're not in the world of Yevon, and... Yuna seemed to look for words. Titus waited. Summoner and Faith must establish an intimate link, she continued. Many ways exist to do so, even according to the teachings, and the method may be different depending on the faith. Titus put his forefinger on Yuna's lips. I understand. You're scared? She nodded slowly. Then let's forget that. I don't like the story about intimate links. What if the faith was a man? He forced himself to laugh, but without any real feeling. Ha, 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 ha. Her eyes aiming at the top of the stairs, Yuna sighed. Never would she thought she would fear a summoning. She had not practiced for 2 years. During this period of time, she had changed. She knew that if she failed, the Aeon could devour her mind. Oh, I did not know that happened. That's pretty bad. She did not want to run this risk anymore. Fear was tormenting her, but did she have the choice? She was just starting to foresee a way to go back to her world. Titus opened a door located under the stairs, on the left. I can see this in my mind. The number 1, barely visible, was written. In Besaid, it led to the cells of the monks. Yep. They were making out. Nice. Just kidding. They were making out an inclined plane which sank into the dark. They could smell a strong metallic scent. They crossed the threshold and perceived a slight vibration. Yuna remembered the mechanic tower that they had heard work on the path of the ruins. They arrived in a room even more vast than the one they had just left. Huh. The room was very small in 10 and 10-2. The place was overflowing with unknown machines, positioned around a long table and a single chair. Furniture was crumbling under a piling up of tools. Everything was covered with a thick coat of dust, except for a narrow strip on the floor. A narrow strip on the floor didn't have dust, which means something must have removed the dust. These machines were used to build other ones, Titus whispered. It's a workshop, Yuna acquiesced. Shinra had told her about those workshops or factories. According to the boy, the ancient world must have been overflowing with places like this one. Judging from the number of machines it had bequeathed to them. What a smell, Titus grimaced. Let's take a quick look and let's get out of this place. Look, there's a door at the end. He rushed for it and opened it without hesitation. I found beds, he announced. Bunk beds. The room is huge. 100 people could sleep there. But there's such a stench prevailing in this room. He closed the lid with a pout of disgust and met Yuna. After a brief overview of the room, he pointed out another way out. This way. We're almost at halfway through the page. If you see the scroll bar here, this is a really long chapter. Maybe every other chapter is going to be shorter or something. Come here, Yuna. A simple glance in this room had been enough for Titus to understand its function. It was an armory. He did not know what was supposed to happen in the future, but he could not let escape such an opportunity. 3 walls were hidden by shelves, which were displaying all kinds of swords. Ooh, do they have Brotherhood? They entered and discovered points of arrows, top of weapon mallets, and blades of axes. Yuna assumed that the handles, much as the other parts, were made of wood, had disintegrated. Everything is rusty, but we can still use some of those weapons. Titus noticed. He was holding a rapier in his left hand and let his right one hanging around the shelves, as if he was looking for a specific object. You should choose a weapon, he recommended to her. The young woman was not delighted at all by this, but a weapon may indeed be useful. Yeah, she don't got the guns anymore. Ah, that's it, Titus exclaimed. He was brandishing a little cobblestone. This is a whetstone, he explained. We must get rid of this rust. You've done it before? Never, but it must be like with kitchen knives, right? Probably. They spend a half an hour gathering and preparing their arsenal. Titus had chosen a double-edged rapier equipped with a ball-shaped guard. Interesting. And Yuna a dagger. It was a light weapon with a magnificently polished handle. The young woman wrapped it in a long strip coming from the hem of her dress. Cool. There you go, Titus exclaimed joyfully while brandishing his rapier. But he was already frowning. Something's wrong? I got carried away. In my opinion, I've sharpened it too much. I didn't know rust could penetrate the blade. I thought it was superficial. I see, Yuna answered, who was ignorant of this too. She was anxious because she was used to buying or receiving weapons, but that was not the case for assembly. I hope we won't meet anybody, she added. Me neither. They left the armory and, for lack of rooms to visit, went back up to the circular room. Over here now, Titus declared lightly before opening the door located under the stairs on the right. Yuna read the number 2 on it. The lead was jammed. The young man had to pull with all his strength to make it move. So, what's in there? He continued. Yuna was recognizing him well right now. Huh? When he was anxious, he adopted a playful tone. Oh, okay, I know what it's saying. A refectory. I would bet my life on it, he continued. There are long metallic tables and chairs, and at the end it seems to be a kitchen. You want us to explore it? Yuna shook her head. She understood that her partner wanted to postpone their meeting with the Faith, and she appreciated it. But they had waited long enough. She turned towards the top of the stairs. Let's go. Titus got in her way. Don't you want to breathe fresh air before that? He's trying to prolong. Obstinate, she shook her head even more. Chapter 19. Yeah, look, we're halfway already, and it's only been an hour. Took me like 2.5 hours to do the whole thing for the last one. Chapter 19. They had to brace on the door to unblock it. Then they opened it carefully, and the warm air of the night came into the building. The young man had managed to convince his partner. Above them, the leaves of the trees were filtering the light of the stars. What's that? Titus asked. He was pointing at metallic pillars as large as his fist, at regular intervals between stone slabs. For above the 2 young people, the pillars were supporting a wire network on which leaves were clinging. Like a creeper vine. Creeper? Oh, man. Like a creeper vine would. Yuna had never been such a plant. Had never seen such a plant. Never been such a plant. This camouflage hides the building, Titus said joyfully. This place looks like any forest plot, from above. We've been completely taken in. Yuna was preoccupied with something else. Along the path we've been led... Oh, who's saying this? Along the path, we've been led by the pieces of fabric to a specific place. We've encountered a problem. Someone has come to rescue us, and we've woken up inside the building. Is that correct? Titus acquiesced, unsure. It's quite easy to recognize this entrance. Oh, it's quite easy to recognize this entrance, he noticed, while sweeping the place with his eyes. We've never come here, so that means the place we're looking for is ahead of us. Which place? The place of our accident. He unsheathed his rapier before resuming. Let's go take a look. He set off with a careful step. Yuna followed him. She was trying to convince herself that everything would be fine. Even if they had encountered a mysterious difficulty, they had found some help to overcome it. The young woman who was refusing to give in to panic decided to be optimistic. That's nice. Always good to be optimistic. They progressed slowly for a few minutes, then Titus stopped. Look, he whispered. Look. He was showing the hill they could observe through the leaves. In the light of the stars, the statue of Lucera was standing out from the landscape. Titus could not help shouting. Interesting. Impatient, they flung themselves along the path. That was a man? No, a woman, I think. They stopped suddenly and exchanged an incredulous look. Lucera? On a part of the path, the relief of the ground hid the top of the hill. When they were able to see it again, they seemed to notice a silhouette. They set out again on the double. Ooh, they're gonna find someone finally. Yuna was feeling safe. The unknown person did not mean any harm, she was sure of that. She had seen them swinging, slowly. When they finally reached the top, the silhouette was still dancing. Oh, wait. It's Len, dude! No way! Just kidding. I don't know. Wait, what? She's wearing the same clothes as you, Titus noticed. Was it her who helped us? That's a possibility. Look, isn't she performing ascending? Ooh. Oh, in Titus's mind, every dance was ascending. No, Yuna answered. We can't see the souls of the dead. It would be fluttering in the night like a firefly. Sometimes it was difficult to discern it, but Yuna had never failed. For a summoner, the most important predisposition was the sensitivity to fireflies. And the moves are different, Titus added. That doesn't mean anything. The choreography is specific to the summoner, and some of them don't dance at all. Really? I thought they had to dance. Then why do you dance? Because there exist people who can't see souls. In this case, how are they supposed to know if the one they love was sent correctly? Oh. The dance of the officiate enables the concerned people to keep a strong memory of the ceremony, but a lot of people don't know that. That's cool. I didn't know that. So the dance is not for the summoner, it's for the people watching. That's actually cool. That's cool. She kept quiet and put down her weapon on the ground. Why? After a moment of hesitation, Titus imitated her. We are sorry to disturb you, she began. The silhouette stood still, then beckoned to them. Allow me to present me, Titus said lightly, yet his expression was very serious. He is overdoing it, Yuna thought. However, she decided to let him lead the conversation. Good evening, the young unknown woman answered. The stars are wonderful this night, are they not? She was little. Oh. She's young? Little as in young, or? In the middle of her thin face flanked with black curls. Her big eyes and her dimples drew attention. A wide dress, girded around the waist, was covering her thin body as far as the ankles. Her head reached Yuna's eyes in height. I see. She was just short. I think. No wonder I mistook her for a boy from afar. I'm Titus, and I am Yuna. The woman nodded. Kush. Ooh. This is interesting. So Kush, we learned from the other group that the summoners just take the names of the gods and goddesses. So this might not be the same Kush. Although I'm not going to outrule that possibility still. Just because anything can happen. Titus let out an exclamation of surprise. Kush smiled, which illuminated immediately her face. Like the goddess of abundance, Yuna asked. I do not look like her, I know, the young woman answered. The young summoner stammered, embarrassed. I have taken this name on, Kush explained. I am not a divinity. This is a tradition or a rule to my people. After my death, someone else will become Kush. Yeah, see, this is probably not going to be the same Kush. It made Titus speechless. Who are your people? The citizens of the holy Bavel. Ooh, Bavel. We know that place. Yuna had never read a book or met someone mentioning Bavel with this qualitative. Have you never heard of this place? Have you never heard of this place? The frail young woman continued. This city is governed by gods? Titus asked. But then, gods exist? Yuna feared that Kush got angry with them, but the young woman was smiling once again, and her dimples grew hollow. The city is on the authority of a religious government, which is mandated by gods. At least that is what they affirm. As for the existence of divinities, the simple action of asking such a question could cause you serious problems. Oh. Titus looked around him anxious. Do not worry, nobody can charge you with blasphemy or heresy anymore. In my opinion, I do not trust in them. But faith allows people to find some common ground. In the course of the seasons in our lives, we join in the same rituals, and we understand that we are linked with each other, that we live in the same world. This is what happens when we take the name of a divinity on two. Incidentally, yet again, a ceremony is celebrated. She indicated the sky with a finger, like Renoa. What is the name of the brightest star? She asked. The navel of the night, Yuna answered. Blitz Star, Titus announced at the same time. We call it Anli's Eye, Kush replied. He is the god who protects travelers. She laughed, and Yuna could not help doing the same. We have grown up in different worlds, and we are now gathered. Is not that wonderful? They agreed at the same time, and she resumed. But that is not what you want to know. She was not smiling anymore. Yuna wondered which question among all those in her mind was the most important. Titus forestalled her. Where are we? The two young women formed the formulation of his question a bit strange. He means on which island precisely? Precisely, same thing. Ah, I understand. Besaid! We're on Besaid! I am sorry. I cannot answer your question. We call it Board of the War, South Division, but I cannot reveal its position. Board of the War? Yuna repeated, abashed. South Division? Remember, Kush uses the polite you, plural. Oh yeah, that's a thing. That is correct. You are a summoner, are you not? Are not you? Yuna nodded in agreement. And you are her guard? The two young people exchanged a questioning look. Titus had been the guardian of Yuna. He had escorted and protected her during her journey. That is correct, Titus ended up answering. The summoner Yuna and her guard Titus. For a short moment, Kush's eyes appeared to search through the night. This song's a little loud. Okay. Yuna turned around and discovered a stocky silhouette just behind her. Shinra? Yuna asked. The newcomer was taller than the Shinra she knew, but he was wearing the same clothes as him. A yellow suit and an old gas mask. It does not speak, and I rue this lack. It is a mechanical bidol. Formerly there were numerous, but on this day it is the last one. Are we in the past or the future? I'm confused. She turned her palm towards the newcomer. This makes me think it's the past. Because of the village not being there. And the temple being there already, I think. She turned her palm towards the newcomer. Everything is fine. They are not enemies. They are the two persons you carried a bit earlier. Oh, so this is the one that saved them. Their names are Yuna and Titus. You do not have to eliminate them. What? Titus began. Kush interrupted him. Introduce yourselves, she ordered them. Its visual device does not work anymore, and it has to use its audition to identify its interlocutors. It may be an end-of-life bidol. I do not know enough about its mechanism to be certain of this, but the false bidols have been built to destroy our enemies. Therefore, it will attack you if it thinks you are one of them. Introduce yourselves each time you meet it, and do it now once again for more safety. I am Yuna, and I'm Titus. The strange character nodded and ambled back along the path. What is the meaning behind those clothes and this mask? Yuna asked. That is a ruse. Every bidol wore a similar outfit. Thus, nobody could differentiate the false ones from the true ones. I don't understand, Titus took part. Why were there false ones and true ones? And what is a bidol to begin with? An inferior person which carries out work. Okay. In order to make their life easier, some of them create machines, including false bidols. They are really great. Okay, no music is coming through. There we go. Hold on. Okay, it should be good now. No, they are awful. It is their inventions which have triggered the war. Oh, okay. I see. We have had to control them closely. My government has used magic to affix a mark on the body of each bidol, in order to not let them mingle with the population. We have ordered them to only speak a specific language. We have put in place all those measures for their own good. Yuna wondered if the young woman... Okay, now it's getting loud. Why did the song start so quiet? Alright. Yeah, it's fine. We have put in place all those measures for their own good. Yuna wondered if the young woman was referring to the Machina War. What was the magic used by her government? As for the bidols, it was reminding her of the Albed. Yeah, me too. She had Albed blood. Did her people come from the world of Kush? What exactly is the mark affixed on them? Titus asked on a light tone. Oh, a spiral deep in the eyes. Thus, wherever they go, they cannot conceal their nature. Oh, I see. The Albed and the bidol. Okay, so the Albed had the spirals like infused in them or whatever, or affixed to them, as they say. So it seems, yeah, bidol and Albed are like the same, basically. Maybe just a different name. A spiral deep in the eyes. Thus, wherever they go, they cannot conceal their nature. She's talking about Rico and the others, Titus exclaimed, angry. They're not inferior. They reap what they have sowed. Excuse me, ma'am, but you may have noticed that I have this mark in my eye, Yuna spoke, respectfully. Wait. That is because my mother is Al-Bed, or should I say Badol. Wait. Yuna. Nice. How? You can't see it. Right? Yeah, she doesn't have it. Why did someone get her hair here? Yeah, she doesn't have the spiral. This is Titus. But she doesn't have it. This is a cool art. Yeah, she just has one green eye though. Or should I say Badol? Yuna saw surprise appear in Kush's face. At the same time, the body of the young woman gleamed like a firefly. Well, to each their own, I suppose. But tell me, Yuna, is there another summoner in your family besides you? My father. He was named Braska. Maester Braska? You don't know him? Titus asked. He was High Summoner. Please, accept my deepest apologies. If they were in a different world, it was natural that nobody heard of Braska. Yuna thought. Kush, the young woman began. Oh, Kush, the young woman began. May I call you Kush, ma'am? Naturally. How have our two worlds met? When did they become separate? The young woman frowned but did not answer. For a few moments, she gleamed faintly. She then became transparent. Titus let out an exclamation of surprise, but she did not move. Calmly, Yuna held out her hand and touched Kush, who shone even more. But this time, instead of disappearing, the gleam spread, more and more glaring, until the body of the woman would break up into a myriad of fireflies. The summoner, Yuna whispered. Where is he? Kush was dispersing in the wind, without letting herself become overwhelmed. The young woman shouted. Where is the summoner? He was certainly close. I want to meet him and talk to him. We just want to go back to our world. If you know a way to do it, tell us, please. Kush had disappeared, but the fireflies were still there, around the two young people, more and more numerous. Watch out, Titus shouted. He drew Yuna against him and embraced her. Now the entire landscape was gleaming. The lights were still dancing in the breeze. What's going on? The island was the fruit of a summoning. Oh, it was the result of fireflies. Interesting. Yuna had not felt well because of this massive energy concentration. The phenomenon was no different from what you have felt if you were close to sin. Not the toxins! As the hours passed, she had been accustomed to it, unless the summoner had recently intervened. I will now use some of my magic. Oh! I will now use some of my magic, but it will not be easy, a voice declared. Oh! This is because she got knocked out before, and then the guy was like, think of Titus. And then I will use my magic. Yuna thought Titus had spoken, but the sound appeared to come from the fireflies. They were connecting everything from now. And that included maybe on, I don't know. And that included Yuna and the summoner as well. He was a man, and Yuna had already met him, but he had obscured this fact. Ooh. I cannot erase your memories, only seal them. Yuna had never heard of such an advanced skill. This mage certainly possessed a peerless power. Yuna, Titus whispered, let's run away. Where? Anywhere. He held her hand and drew her away along the path, on the double. She followed him without enthusiasm. Running away made no sense. It was not necessary. Under the influence of emotion or embarrassment, the summoner was not able to maintain the summoning any longer. That is all. She had to explain that to Titus. But she did not manage to let out her words. Just before her, the silhouette of Titus was bleeding into the fireflies. Oh no! That's enough! Surprised, the young man stood still. Stop that, Yuna yelled in front to the night. She raised her eyes. The gleams were ascending in the sky. Far above them, a star was shining strongly. Yuna would have wanted it to be the navel of the night. If so, none of this would have happened. She would have been ignorant of this. Yuna? Titus took apart. He seemed worried. He was still holding her hand. She drew him against her and embraced him strongly. What's happening? Don't say anything. Close your eyes. Think of me, of an enjoyable moment. Anyone. She loosened her grip. On your knees, she murmured to him. She held Titus's head in her hands and put it against her stomach. Yuna, it hurts. Be strong. She did not want him to see himself. He had not understood yet. What are you thinking about? Tell me. After a moment of silence, he answered with a muffled voice. Your birthmark. You're the only one to know it. Where is her birthmark? What in the world? Wait. I think... Was it mentioned before? Did I forget? Yuna birthmark. FF10. That's Lulu. Well, I guess only Titus knows it. The music was very appropriate there, though. I think I'm gonna play it again, actually. Well, that's... You're the only one to know it. She was attempting to send her consciousness after the Fireflies to find the summoner. It was the same technique she used when she gave an order to an Aeon. Will it be success? The last time she had made use of her art, it was in order to defeat Sin. A picture appeared in her mind, a strange group walking in a forest. The forest of Besaid. Two Bedols were holding two long poles which were supporting a plate, on which was seated a woman with elegant clothes. Her thin hood let catch a glimpse of her black and bright hair. Kush. A soldier was leading the way. An armor made of leather was covering his half-naked back, a sword hanging on his hip. A guardian? Kush turned around, apparently surprised, and the setting of the vision changed. Yuna was seeing a little circular room. A spiral staircase was standing in the middle of the room, and the room was almost entirely composed of windows. Inside the vision, Yuna came closer to them and discovered a cove through the panes. The young woman was overlooking the landscape. She recognized the port of Besaid. Only the pontoon was missing. On the floor, several cushions were carefully stacked near a wood bowl filled with dried fruits and walnuts. She was feeling the sweet and bitter savors coming from it. Our senses are in unison. Suddenly, an atrocious pain hurt her chest. She was submerged by hatred and by a so powerful love that it appeared to want to spring out of the pores of her skin. She was trapped by a storm of feelings. A kick in the bowl and the fruit scattered in the room. Stop, a masculine voice ordered, old and hoarse, inside Yuna's mind. Where are you? Yuna asked. I accept to meet you, but on one condition. Accord me a favor. We will do our best. My request can definitely be carried out, but the young man would achieve it more easily. I will tell him. What is it about? After a silence, the voice answered, killing a young girl. Oh my gosh, what? Why? Why? Chapter 20. These are long chapters. Look how much, there's so many words. These are long lines. Chapter 20. Night fell. Oh, okay. So we're back to Besaid, present day. Night fell and Bria was walking around Besaid. He walked along the coast. I'm still wondering if this is Vom from the stories we've seen. He walked along the coast despite the boulders which were making the progression difficult. He explored inaccessible caves and parts of the forest where nobody had ever gone before. He did not see anywhere the monstrous monk. Monstrous monk Lulu had told him about, okay. Oh, okay. Lulu told him about a monstrous monk. Got it. As a rule, he let them rest in peace. But there were two former guardians in the village, and those persons could draw decaying spirits out. The situation would be even more complicated if Yuna and Titus were present. He wanted to solve this problem before their return. He was coming closer to the hill. The navel of the night was shining in the sky. The navel of the night, not Anley's eye. Interesting that they emphasized that. The woman he had told that the star was called Anley's eye had been so fond of this name that she had named her little tavern that she inherited from her parents after it. On the verge of bankruptcy, she had bet that it would have brought her luck. She lost that bet. Several warrior monks had come to fetch her to take her to the fortress of Bavel. She was 8 months pregnant that day. She had never come back. Oh no. A short time later, a warrior had come back to the tavern with a wood box containing a newborn who would not stop crying. Bria's daughter. What? His wife had suffered 1,000 tortures and, just before dying, had given birth to the child. Oh no, why did they torture her though? That's not nice. Oh, that's why. The maesters of Yevon wanted to know where she had heard of the name Anli's Eye, and would stop at nothing to find out. Well, you killed her. Good job, Yevon people. Until the end, she had protected Bria. Loyal. The warrior who had brought the child to him had offered his condolences, then had recommended him to run away. He had told him his family owned an inn on the edge of Makalania Lake and was looking for a handyman. The warrior was named Gecko. Bria had taken an interest in the origin of his name, and Gecko had glanced at him askance before telling him it originated from a famed ancestor. Bria did not know why he had asked this question. Likewise, he did not understand how Anli's Eye had come to mind. To this day, he was still ignoring that. Thanks to the recommendation of Gecko, Bria obtained the job at Makalania Lake. The mother of the innkeeper took care of the infant. Bria had named her Lucera. Ooh, cool. The name came to his mind instantaneously, and had not managed to find another one thereafter. But this name had posed a problem too. Uh-oh. One day, when the child was almost 5 years old, a monk had come to the temple of Makalania to ask some questions. Bria feared for his safety, but the innkeeper, who was a long-standing friend, interceded. Instead of sending a report to Bavel, the monk demanded that Bria change the name of the child. That's nice that he's looking out for Bria. Bria was incapable of finding another name. He was convinced that whatever he chose, it would bring misfortune to his daughter. In the end, the monk in question and the old woman who took care of her decided to name her Mora. Bria found this name banal, but he hoped that it would provide a peaceful life to her child. When Mora was 20, she was proposed to by a man. Cool. In the course of his visits, this regular customer had fallen in love with the young girl. She felt affection for the man too, and the union was encouraged, as long as her daughter agreed. Bria had no reason for being opposed to it. In order to explain the absence of her wife, he affirmed that she died because of a disease. The banquet took place in the huge room of the inn. Many friends of the groom came and went into ecstatics in the face of the beauty of the bride, who was wearing wonderful wedding garb. In the corner of the room, Bria was observing his daughter. He was torn between joy and sadness. Why sad? You bastard! The father of the groom had suddenly shouted. He had come from Bavel for the occasion, and Bria still remembered his voice and his breath, which reeked of alcohol. It's you who killed Mero. The man told the audience how Bria had duped the woman in Bavel, had meddled with their family, and had managed to change the name of the establishment, which had caused the death of the lady Mero. In the past, the man was a regular customer, and after the departure of Bria and his daughter, he had heard of this rumor. Bria denied this. Some guests evoked the existence of a double. Others thought it was just the delirium of a drunkard, but the man added, You're fishy. It's been 20 years, and yet you've not changed. I've lost my hair and I've got a paunch. But what about you? Nothing. What are you, a monster? An unsent? For how long do you plan to stay in this world? Ooh. So maybe this is the same Bria. Maybe he's a god, walking amongst the men of Spira, the men and women of Spira. Amara burst into tears, and the innkeepers lowered their head. Bria had always contented himself with a modest job and avoided appearing in public as much as possible. He let his mustache grow, then shaved it in order to give the illusion of change, but he did not age, and an attentive observer could not ignore it. Out of respect for the innkeepers, the neighbors had not said anything. But since her childhood, Mara found the situation hard to bear. Bria left. He could not talk with her anymore, but he kept watching over her. The marriage was cancelled. Oh no. That stinks. The next year, the mother of the innkeeper died. Oh no. 3 years later, the owner of the establishment and his wife left for a trip. Along the way, they were attacked by Sin, and none saw them again. That's right. At this time, Sin came back. Oh no. Against all odds, Mara took over the inn, but the reputation of the place had been affected, and there were less and less customers. Forced to close the inn, the young woman got rid of it, came back to Bavel, and entered holy orders. Bria did not know what was inside of the mind of his daughter, and what was best for her. He had not the instinct of a father. He was not cut out for having a family. Mara led a long and fulfilling life. She rose in the ranks of the religious hierarchy, and when she passed away at the age of 80, her obsequies were spectacular. Spectacular? Is that a word? Bria attended them from afar. He had not changed since her birth, By a cruel quirk of fate, he was incapable of remembering the face of his wife. Oh no. He only remembered the words of their first conversation. Sitting down in a shabby tavern, he listened to the other customers. And that's how he learned that the daughter of the innkeeper was named Mero. She was a hard-working and conscientious young girl. Moreover, with that specific charm. But Bria did not care about that, and he came back to see her day after day, attracted by her name. Interesting. He had the impression that this word contained the key to a secret buried in the depths of himself. Why he did not age. Well, that's interesting. So he doesn't even know himself why he doesn't age. His former life, that is before he met Mera, was bound to a mystery. As if his memory was nibbled by worms, composed of disjointed snatches. His early years had been swallowed by a dark hole. He thought that if he managed to fill this gap of memory, he would be appeased and could finally die. As centuries passed while he was feeling guilty because of what had happened with Mara and Mera, he kept believing that. How long has it been since that time? Maybe 1,000 years. Wow. Only fragments of memories, good song, remained in his mind. He spent most of his time as a warrior monk in Lavelle. As soon as a comrade noticed Bria did not age, he resigned and disappeared. He kept a low profile about 50 years, while waiting for those who knew him to die. That's actually kind of a sad thing. Yeah, it's like kind of like the thing where you don't want to live forever, right? Then he went back to military life in Bavelle once again, because he thought he was closer to the key to the mystery over there. He was wrong. He must have had to come to Besaid much earlier. But this is not my first visit. Well, I don't think so. A memory of the Temple of Besaid came into his mind. At that time, there were only 2 High Summoner statues. And that hill. He had climbed it so many times. The sculpture of a young teenage-like girl was standing on the side of the path. Bria closed his eyes. Only 2 High Summoner statues. At that time, the one of the goddess had already disappeared. No, they are 2 different periods. But however hard he tried to search his memories, he could not learn anything else from them. Sometimes, days were so similar that it was difficult to remember the past. But that was not the case for Bria. Someone had stolen his story. Oh man. That's bad news, bears. You can't steal someone's story like that. Your story is very important. I learned that from Titus. Who could be so maleficent? He decided to go back to the village to talk with the elders. They always narrated to him the same anecdotes, and Bria could recite their entire life by heart. They had led humble lives, in the shadow of the teachings of Yevon, but as days passed, Bria liked them more and more. Kut Ajahek. Bria turned around and discovered beings with absurd faces. The one who had spoken with a blonde-haired boy, who was wearing big protective eyewear, whilst night had fallen. Beside him, a man with a wild look was exhibiting his torso and stomach, naked and tattooed with flames. Some friends of Yuna, Kut Ajahek. The tattooed man greeted him in his turn, in Al-Bed, indifferent. Bria trembled. Al-Bed had renounced the teachings of Yevon. That was not what caused his hatred. He hated their language. It reminded him of sadness and anger. He turned his back on them, waiting for them to leave. Is he ignoring us? The boy wearing glasses asked. Because we're just dirty Al-Bed. Rak Mukek Rate. Actually, I want to see if Al-Bed translator. There's no way. I mean, there is a way, for sure. So what does this one mean? Good evening. Ah. And then this one. He's something, probably. Do. Ha, see? I knew it. He's losing his head. The tattooed man spat. Bria was feeling sick. Wait a minute, a feminine voice added. What are you doing, brother? Who's calling to brother? The boy wearing glasses. Is that just Shinra? I don't know. Brother. Bria heard people approaching. Some friends of Yuna once again, he supposed. The girl who speaks loud and the calm and short-haired woman. Pain? He only wished that this moment was for them to quickly go on their way. This, the boy wearing glasses answered. This old man is disrespecting us. Bria turned around in order to apologize, but he found himself face to face with the tattooed man. Brother. The Albed was staring at him, scowling. He was so close that Bria could see the spirals in his eyes. Mind your manners, sickening Badol. He called him Badol. Bria exclaimed. He spat in the face of the tattooed man. How could you? Who stepped backwards. The Albed seemed saddened. It was a joke, he protested on a pitiful tone. Bria stepped backwards in his turn. He was astounded by his words. Where did they come from? Probably from the place where Anli's eye, Lucera, and Mero were imprisoned. Oh, so he didn't mean to say this. Big bro behaved badly, but that isn't a reason to spin it. Oh, it's Riku. Big bro behaved badly, but that isn't a reason to spin his face, a feminine voice said. Don't interfere, Riku, the boy wearing glasses answered. Wait, maybe it's Buddy. But he said short. He's a boy, not a man. Don't interfere, Riku, the boy wearing glasses answered. It was a joke, the tattooed man repeated. A child's voice took apart. Our peaceful party comes to an end. Bria turned his head. A false Badol, he exclaimed. Under the influence of emotion, his sight became blurred. He did not know anymore what was standing in front of him. These glasses, this gas mask, this yellow suit, there was no doubt about it. Oh, he was triggered by Shinra's outfit. I see. Gunshots behind me, a Badol in yellow, with a clumsy walk. Smoke is still escaping from the barrel of the rifle he is tightening under his left arm. I do not know how many bullets he has fired. Ooh! That's the same line that was used with Vom. Bria. So does the guy not die or what? He has PTSD or something. Turning his nose up at the man wearing glasses and his tattooed comrade, disdaining the two women. Oh, Pain and Riku are there, okay. He headed for the false Badol, but his legs were so weak that he lost his balance. He held himself up as he could. He must have been appearing very clumsy in their eyes, to think that these subhumans were going to laugh at him. One of their people has killed me. Submerged by anger, he unsheathed his dagger. He's serious? A voice exclaimed. Oh, that's Pain. He's serious? A voice exclaimed. The short-haired woman stood in his way and, with a kick, took his dagger away from him. She is not Badol, he thought. Just as he received a blow on the back of his neck, he fell down. What are you talking about? The half-naked Badol kneeled down and leaned on him. Under her slender muscles. What are you talking about? Under her slender muscles, we could barely make out her ribs. Bria suddenly felt a desire he had not experienced for a long time. Why? He exclaimed. For a Badol? That's not my question. They just greeted you. She leaned on him even more closely. Pff, pff, she let out with a scornful tone. Embarrassed, he turned away. He looked at the false Badol, who was walking slowly towards him. You've been saying Badol since our meeting. What is that? Don't come closer. Bria was about to lose consciousness. The Badol has slapped the woman. I have wanted to go for his throat, but Ifano has held me back. Ifano? Yeah, this is him. This is Vom from the stories that we're seeing from being in the ones who got invaded. A second slap, and Kusha has opened her eyes. Interesting. Yeah, these are short chapters now. Chapter 21. He suddenly felt He suddenly opened his eyes while shouting, Kush! And then he lost consciousness once again. What is wrong with him? Riku asked. Wako was not looking at Bria, but Lulu, who was silent. Was it necessary to tie him up? He asked with a careful tone. Lying before the stele standing on top of the hill. Bound hand and foot, Bria was still unconscious. Whose side are you on? Riku responded to him. He's not a poor sod, Wako protested. I've only known him for 1 month, but he doesn't content himself with his work at the temple. He takes part in the chores of the village, and the elders like him. If they were to see him in this state, it makes me shudder. Yes, but Riku started to protest. Originally, it was brother who provoked him, Pain declared calmly. Admittedly, he got out a knife, but I don't think it was intended for one of us. I've had the impression he was seeing someone else. He was staring into space. He was completely out of his mind. This guy is dangerous. Say, Lu, what do we do? Guaca asked. Something is wrong with him, Lulu said, but we can't leave him here in public view. The elders like him. We should take him to his room. Over there, we'll be able to examine him. She nodded resolute and turned towards Buddy and Brother, who, seated on the ground, were listening in silence. They immediately leapt to their feet. You two, take him to the room. It hadn't something. Understood. Brother shouted, standing at attention. Understood. Itangdukt. Let's go, Waka said. I'm worried about Vidina. Why? Lulu asked. Because I left him with the grandmothers. I trust them more than you to take care of him. Oh my gosh. You're unfair, Waka exclaimed indignant. Payne laughed quietly. No laughing when Yuna's not here, Brother added, who was helping Buddy to stand Bria back up and left him untied from now on. I'm surprised Brother is not having a meltdown. Yeah, look at these really short chapters. What in the world? But where was Yuna? The young woman had wanted to isolate herself. Titus had insisted that Yuna does not move away too far, in order for him to hear her whistlings if need be. She had left just past noon. The sun was going to set. She had not come back yet. Titus had settled himself in the room where they had regained consciousness. He followed the hallway and went out. Through the leaves of the trees, he was distinguishing the statue of Lucera. Another silhouette was standing near her. Yuna, he shouted. She turned and waved at him, but she was not looking at the right place. The trees were certainly preventing her from seeing him. Sir Titus. Sir Titus. Kush appeared before him. He had understood that she was not a woman, but he did not know her true shape. Yuna certainly knew, but she had not said anything, and he was refusing to ask her. He did not want to be unpleasant with her. How about asking the right person? What are you, Kush? I mean, you do not know? I am an Aeon. Oh! Lady Yuna did not tell you about our request? About what? We asked her to do something, but our conversation was 2 days ago, and... What do you want from us? Not both of you, only you, Titus, Kush answered with a smile. Yeah, why did they want him to kill a young girl? Her dimples were very lovely. Go ahead and ask me. Such a short chapter. 23. They took Bria to his cell in the temple and tied him to a pillar. Then Waka and the Gomlings went back about their business. Bria was not really unconscious, but rather in a deep sleep. The monk who lived in the temple was looking after him. Lulu, hanging back, swept the room with her eyes, greeted the clergyman, and went out in her turn. This man had arrived in Besaid about 10 years earlier and was currently in charge of welcoming the public, both the inhabitants of the island and the tourists. The mission guaranteed him very busy days, but apart from that he hardly spoke. Therefore it was difficult to know more about him. Yet Lulu trusted him. After the fall of Yevon, he had responded to the anxiety of the oldest villagers. She had observed him for a long time. Therefore she knew that he was open-minded and practical. He had reassured everyone, explaining that it was the teachings which were at fault, not the villagers. At that time there was another monk living in Besaid. But he had turned into a monster. Before that he was a man in the prime of life, whose head was divided by 2 thick eyebrows. More than a clergyman, he was a dogged, scholarly person. When he was not in his cell surrounded with his books, you could find him in the Holy of the Holies, that he cleaned and watched zealous. Since Yuna had defeated Sin, people had caught sight of him hanging around here and there on the island. I wonder what he was doing, Lulu thought. He had arrived at the temple 3 years earlier, and had spent all this time between these walls. He said he wanted to be near the High Summoner. After the fall of Yevon, he has maybe discovered an interest for the outside world. 2 months earlier, she had learnt he had to return to Bavel. Bria had come to replace him. Yeah, Bria is the one who said he wanted to be close to the High Summoner, I think. A short time afterwards, the monk had disappeared in the dead of night. Witnesses had caught a glimpse of him, late at night and early morning. He was no more. It would have been impossible for him to return to the citadel in the meantime. Not to mention he had not gathered his things, and had left his belongings behind him. Not surprising, since he has turned into a monster. Lulu had seen him with her own eyes, trampling while letting out the strange cry, Bria, Bria, Bria. This was not an auditory hallucination, she was sure about that. She turned around to gaze one last time at the door of the cell. Hidden behind the temple, Shinra saw Lulu, returning to her tent. Then he whispered in Albed, "She's finally gone." Let's end this," Brother answered in the same language. "Okay, you deal with the monk while I talk with Bria." "I want to talk to him with him too." "No, you can't. You make too much noise," Shinra responded to him. "You damn brat." "You damn brat," their leader protested. "Shh, there's no time to lose." "All right, Gullwings, men's section, let's go." They slipped to the entrance. Hardly had they crossed the heavy leaf when the monk noticed them. "Did you forget something?" Brother nodded and headed out to the door located under the stairs. "This is the room of the High Summoner," the monk informed him. "Ah?" Brother changed direction and came closer to the other door. "You did that on purpose, right?" Buddy teased him. "Zip it!" "I see." "Yeah. Oh, brother." He was trying to go into Yuna's room. Oh my gosh, dude. While she's gone? Are you kidding me, brother? Anyway, Shinra took up heart. "There's no point in all three of us meeting with Bria. That's not what we agreed to do." "Alright, I don't like to seem rude, but I don't have the choice," Buddy pointed out before throwing himself on the monk. The monk tried to run away, but the Albed was faster. He caught him up, grasped him around the waist, and joined his hands together around the man. The monk could not move at all. Straight after, Brother removed the polarizing glasses Poto was wearing, and put them on the face of the clergyman. Ignoring the protests of the victim, he burst out laughing when he saw the long eyelashes and the big eyes of Buddy. Straight after, he increased the light filtration of the glasses to the full. "I can't see anything. What did you do?" "It's necessary for the time being," Buddy explained. "Now go for the mouth." Was he gonna kiss him? Brother gagged the monk with his big hand. "I will let you take care of him," Shinra declared before crossing the door which led to the cells. He heard what may be a noise of struggle, but he had just entered Bria's room, and he was petrified by a piercing look. "Close the door behind you," the prisoner ordered quietly. "No, alone. I am not up to it. I may need some help. I need some help," the boy thought. Yet he complied obediently. "Good Badol." Uh-oh. Chapter 24. Yuna had decided to walk around the island, alone, because staying with Titus was too difficult. She had returned to the starting point. The music's fitting, considering we're on Besaid again. To the starting point, the circular room, but had not found a solution to the problem. She wishes she would have been able to share the pain inside her with her partner, to give him some relief. Was she in the wrong? Maybe could she save him from this suffering? But another problem was preoccupying her. Killing a young girl? If she told Titus about the request of the summoner, would her former guardian accede to it? Maybe, if he thought he could please Yuna. Egocentric thought. She was aware of that. But she knew that the young man was often eager to please her. "No," she declared aloud. "He would never do that, even for me." "You wanted to be alone?" Kush was standing against the altar under the gaze of the statues. "No, but staying with him was too difficult for me. I'm bad at hiding, and he always managed to know what I was thinking. His considerations are hard to bear." Kush shrugged and laughed quietly. "What?" "He said the same thing, and he understands very well your need of solitude." "Oh, what?" "He said the same thing, and he understands very well your need of solitude. You are very fortunate." Yuna had the impression that Kush was making fun of her. She wanted to object, but changed her mind. After all, she was talking to a swarm of fireflies. She quickly came closer to the altar. The Anchor stepped backwards, but Yuna grasped her hand and concentrated. Kush's skin began to shine. "Is that your opinion, Summoner? Such aggressiveness." "That's because you're unreasonable. You remind me of Yunalesca." "The Summoner Princess? You're offending me. Could you at least tell me your name?" Oh wait, is this Yuna saying this? He did not answer. Yuna turned towards the statues and began to enumerate them. Lucera, Guard, Alb, Vam, Canela, Sloane, Mayo, Micah, Gecko, Mika, I don't know. Romand, Anli, Ifanel. Kush's silhouette trembled. "Ifanel, grant us beauty." "Grant us beauty?" "It does not look like me." "Then what is your real name?" "Johit from Muka." "Muka?" "South of the continent." Luca. Ah, Luca. Probably. Would you accord me an interview? Yuna asked in the same respectful tone as Kush. There was a silence, then a throat clearing. Very well, but I am an unsent, and I wish to disappear only when I will have decided it. Do I have your word? Okay, so this is an unsent. I promise you, I will not send you into the other world. Where do I have to meet you? Stay here. I am going to prepare the place of our meeting. The illusion was so powerful that Yuna had forgotten everything around her was summoned. These events were unprecedented for her. Her and him practiced the same art, but they mastered very different techniques. This is normal. This is normal, Joet declared. We have contemplated an identical reality. We have not understood it in the same manner, and each of us had believed in a distinct illusion. Kush was fluttering like the scorching summer air, and was shining so strongly that Yuna had to protect her eyes. We're getting near the end of this page. Cool. My memories are back. Bria was lying on the floor, tied up, but still impressive. Shinra had never met such a man. More than ever, the boy was delighted to have chosen one day to hide behind his glasses and his mask, to join the Gullwings. His lack of experience, because of his young age, was a problem that his brilliance did not manage to resolve. Worse still, he had been the chosen victim of mocking and bullying. Oh no. His get-up hid his distress or his tears. Oh wow. I did not know that. But he could not prevent his voice from trembling. He decided to stay silent until he regained his composure. Fortunately, his interlocutor appeared to not care about being the only one to talk. Numerous memories have come back into my mind, yet a conversation between a Badol and myself seems like a new experience currently. A brat, to be sure. Shinra shrugged. He did not feel up to do more. But I've lost comrades of underestimating a child due to his youth, so... Bria shook his head, as if to show that he will not repeat this error. He wriggled to sit up straight, cross-legged. On his guard, Shinra was waiting for the next move of the prisoner. Was he going to tell him now how his comrades had died? If he was going to do so, there was a good chance that he would lose his temper, and the situation could become dangerous. But the man changed the subject. You don't intend to call for help? Shinra shook his head, as if to show that he will not repeat this error. He wriggled... Oh. Shinra shook his head. Bria grumbled and stayed quiet, relieved by his mutism. The boy began to examine him. His hair and his mustache were hiding his face, and it was difficult to discern his expression. His faded look seemed to hide a secret. Shinra did not trust this man, and he knew it was the same for Lulu. For a moment, Bria stared at Shinra in turn, before lowering his eyes. Leave me alone, he whispered. But his back suddenly stooped, as if the arrogance that had been supporting him so far had disappeared. It was the perfect time to leave the room, the boy thought. What is a Badol? Why do you call me that, sir? Shinra had spoken with a tone more polite than the prisoner deserved, and he regretted it. But rephrasing it was not an option. That would lead him to admit that he had made a mistake. The man sat up straight with a sour laugh. All the Badols were like you. Now people say Al-Bed. In the past, a man named Alb was their leader. Some people called them Alb's Badols, or Albedols. Oh, so that's where it came from. It's the church who's decided to call you Al-Bed. A name easier to spew out, I guess. It's just a simple patch, like all the teachings of Yevon. I didn't know. Nobody has told us about this. This admission was not showing his best light to the prisoner, but he had no mind. His main objective was to first draw his interlocutor out. Bria nodded kindly. Since its origin, this world was governed by beings endowed with supernatural abilities. Those who have predispositions to magic and mastered it have always been given an advantage. They have jealously guarded it until now. The daily life of the destitute people has been cruel for a long time. Think carefully. Back in the days, magic was the only way to produce a flame. The Badols are the ones who have turned the tide. Their inventions have been called machines or machinas, and have spread out all over the world. Of course, the people in charge did not appreciate that, but they know the Badols were useful. Instead of forbidding them, they tried to find a way to take advantage of them, to coexist and to prosper. That was their motto. Okay. Shinra was hanging on to Bria's every word. In the boy's mind, Sphere's history has always begun with the Machina War. Sounds a little loud. It was the first he was hearing talk of events preceding this conflict. But the faults are on both sides. The Bedols have become more and more audacious, and the government's more and more tyrannical. Your ancestors carried on creating machines, but they were considered inferior to livestock from then on. But if that's the case, why did they carry on creating their machines? Because if they refused to do it, they were killed. They have designed, built, and maintained the weapons of the conflict. Rather than refusing and dying, they have chosen to live. Bria explained in a serious tone before letting out a new sour laugh. The Bedols were really strange. They had created a hierarchy between them. Those who had the monopoly on construction, those who could only use basic techniques, those who were restricted to physical work. The prisoner suddenly appeared to be sad. You're the descendants of the most destitute Bedols. And what happened to Alb? You said you owed our name to him. You said we owed our name to him. Let's say there was no room for him in the world of Yevon. I didn't even have to kill him. Excuse me? Shinra had thought that the man, passionate about history, liked to show off his knowledge, but he was apparently crazy. The boy knew that the mentally ill could sometimes describe with realism a world which only existed in his mind. Maybe this was the case for Bria? The Alb I have known was just one of those who had taken on the name of the god of workers. His life and his death probably changed nothing in history. He was appearing to stare into space. Shinra would not have been able to say if he was distracted or lost in his memories. Bria let out with a familiar tone. What is your name? Shinra. Can you untie me, Shinra? No, I can't. If you can't untie the knots, you can at least cut the cord. Hey, I'm not a kid, the boy protested. Okay. However, Bria had not talked mockingly. Your airship is rooted to the post, right? I don't see what. And what if I tell you I know how to repair it? You can do that, really? Those machines are designed so that they stop working after some time. Why? For 2 reasons. First, you need to proceed with 2 regular inspections. But if a machine still works without these inspections, nobody takes the time to do it, until an accident happens. Oh, interesting. Built to break. And of course, the Bedols would be given the blame for this, so the mechanisms to stop from time to time in order to maintain them. Furthermore, only Alb and his Bedols knew how to put them back in working order. Thanks to that, they were indispensable. The government could not eliminate them if they wanted to use their machines. This plan was not really great. They couldn't plan ahead that the whole world was going to fall in the grip of a man determined to drop all technology. Bria laughed, as if indifferent to the past events. How can you repair the airship? You're not Bedol. I've worked in Bavel. Do you know what it looks like from the inside? A machine? Exactly. Since the Bedols are forbidden to enter the Citadel, several persons had to learn how to maintain it. I am a part of these initiated persons. I can't repair a damaged or broken mechanism, but I can restart it after a program to stop. And you know the architecture of the machines, like the engine, for example? It depends on the model. Great. I've been forbidden to inscribe these knowledges, but everything is still in mind. Excellent. That's great. The boy untied the prisoner quickly. Oh my gosh. Let's hurry, Bria. The Fahrenheit is waiting for us. What happened to the Celsius? Why did they just name it after temperature scale? What's next, Kelvin? Behaving like an excited child, the boy was bouncing up and down. Thanks, Shinra. Bria stood up straight slowly and suddenly gave a knee strike to the chest of the young man. Come on, Bria. He even freed you. He had aimed at the stomach, but too bad. His victim was lying on the floor inert. The man was not feeling guilty at all. Shinra was admittedly a child, but a Bedol above all else. And don't call me Bria. I'm Sloane. So this isn't Vom. The time had come for him to take on the vengeful name that his comrade had himself taken on in the past. I see. So this is Vom, but he's just using Sloane now? From now on, he knew that he was an incarnate spirit. He held out his hand before him. It seemed that he was seeing it gleaming. Since he had discovered his condition, how long was he going to be able to maintain his body and his mind? I should hurry. Chapter 26. Yuna was seated on a wooden crate on the pontoon of a boat devoured by rust. The hull had been repaired in several places. The boat was as big as the SS Licky, which shuttled back and forth between Besaid and Killiga. Ah, okay. That's that ship. Yuna recognized the person represented on the figurehead, Anli, god of travelers. Yuna turned around. Her skiff was floating on a sea of oil. On the starboard, she recognized the silhouette of an island. Eh? She spun around. An old thin man was seated on a leather crate. Nice to meet you, Summoner Ifano. Or maybe do you prefer Johit? Yes, please. Interesting. His white hair, mustache, and beard were contrasting with the hair color of his robe. The edge of his hood was hiding his eyebrows. When he moved, Yuna noticed that they were white too. I have lived for 90 years. I have become an unsent because I had to carry some things out, but... He shrugged, tired. Who do they want Titus to kill? I have only understood after my death that it would have been better for me to die much earlier. It must be a little unpleasant for you to meet an old man like me. I may not look like much, but when I was young, I dyed my hair in red. I was really stupid. He stayed silent. Johit? I prefer that you called me Sire Johit. Naturally, she answered despite her irritation. Sire Johit, have you also summoned this boat? Well, yes, unfortunately. I am not close anymore to the Aeon Core. That which you call faith. Oh, that's what Aeon Core is. It's just a faith. Okay. Therefore, I can only recreate some places she knows well. The island is my strong point, but if summoning is the materialization of the close link between Summoner and Aeon Core, let us say that I am using a distant link. I see, okay. That's why Aeon, because Summoner and Faith, Summoner and Aeon Core is the same. Okay. Do not laugh. That is what happens when you create too many Aeon Cores, but I was ignorant of that fact. Summoners create the faiths? Yuna was surprised. That is how summoning worked in former times. The technique you use now has been altered in order to satisfy the Church of Yevon. You work with the faith you were assigned, in order to create only what he wants. By forwarding your thoughts to him, you increase the power of the Aeon, an adaptation certainly executed in order to facilitate the task during a battle. I can't believe it. What is surprising you? Everything I believed to be true was a lie. Yeah, this is pretty mind-blowing. Somehow it was. You have lived while being convinced of something. This has become your reality. I thought Aeons had disappeared from Spirit forever, since faiths are no more, and I didn't want to practice anymore. I was convinced that summoning was just a weapon. But if it's not the case, if I can create islands and boats, I'm able to do a lot for everyone else. More than just dispense advice to them and send them into the other world after their death. Yeah, Yuna's more powerful than we thought. Johit put his hands on Yuna. The body of the old man gleamed, and the young woman felt a consciousness. No, a knowledge, moving from Johit to her. Ooh, he was passing down to her the technique to create an Aeon Core. Oh. What she saw made her blush. What did she see? Sorry, that is how I proceeded. If you manage to achieve a similar state, you can do it differently. What did he do? Therefore, I developed a simpler method, but since this method skips some steps, there is a lack of power. This is a cruel technique to use sparingly. I advise you against resorting to it, because you need a boat. He shrugged and turned toward the island. Yuna imitated him. How many faiths do you need to summon this island? She suddenly asked. Countless persons had been required to recreate the city of Xanarkand. That's true. For a moment, the man lowered his eyes. Yuna looked at the deck he was contemplating before understanding. A shiver crossed along her spine. Do you want to see? No. I insist, else I will not listen to your request. He answered with a serious tone. Your wish is to go back to your Besaid, is it not? She raised her eyes. Johit was pointing out a hatch. In a corner of the deck, he stood up straight and opened it, revealing stairs which sank into dark. A smell of rust and death assailed Yuna. Is this the last chapter? Nope. Of the page, of course. Titus was huddled up and drifting in the darkness. When pictures started appearing in his mind, was he actually seeing them, or were they only memories? He did not know. A young girl was standing in front of him. She was holding the hands of the boy in hers. Her features looked like those of a teenager. Titus knew her name. It was Kush. Find me. Someone named Bria knows my location. In case he does not, he will still be able to lead you to me. If you do so, I will send Yuna back to her world. Ooh. Is Bria supposed to kill Kush? All I need to do is meet you? Yes, I want you to push my shoulder. Excuse me? I am seated in front of a window. I am looking outside. I want you to gently push my shoulder. Which window? Where? I do not know, but Bria will. I am sure of it. Go and see him. She wants him to push her off. Very well, but promise me to save Yuna. I will. But how do I leave the island? Is there a boat? By swimming. You can do it. Head for the open sea. As far as you can. Think of the place you want to go. I'll end up exhausted. What should I do then? Kush glared. What is that? A spell which will allow you to reach the place you seek, but be careful. Do not be late. The first symptoms will be minor, but soon even the things most important to you will disappear. Uh-oh. Great care needs to be taken with those who know your existence. Hurry before the spell vanishes. His view was not obstructed anymore. The limit between the darkness which was surrounding him and his own body had become clear. He felt pulled from chaos, which was wrapping him. I'm coming. His feet propelled him with all their strength to the real world. He was coming closer to a boundary, the limit between here and there. A luminous wall was appearing to blink. Was it a call or the symbol of a radiant world? Titus was swimming upwards. Always upwards. He was a splendid swimmer. I'm back! Okay, this is the last chapter of this page. Chapter 28. Under the deck, Yuna discovered a warehouse. The hold had been divided into several sections, which contained a pile of diverse objects. The young woman recognized several of them. Some weapons she had seen in the armory. The dress she was wearing when she woke up, her cover, and several statues representing divinities. In the engine room, she discovered, not without surprise, a chocobo. The animal was sleeping when she brushed, and when she brushed it, he began to gleam. Had Johit summoned it? She left the room and came upon a silhouette in the dark hallway. The man was heading towards her. No, not a man, she corrected herself. A mechanical Badol. It appeared that it had seen her because it stepped up its pace. Yuna, I am Yuna. She remembered to introduce herself. Good. He stopped and, with a little waving, turned around and walked away. On his back, he was holding a bag made of rope which contained a ball. Suddenly, memories came back into Yuna's mind. The balloon which rolls on the path. Titus leaning on it to pick it up. His head at the foot of the young girl. Yeah, I'm still confused about that. Is it like literally his head? Like, did he get decapitated or something? And I have revived him. With the help of this old summoner. I have used all my energy, all my knowledge, and I have extracted Titus from... Who? From what? Wait, so did he actually die? Suddenly dizzy, she held her arm out towards the partition in order to catch hold of it. But her hand touched down on a door, and she entered involuntarily a new room. The smell allowed her to quickly know what she was going to find. She counted 7 faiths, or Aeonchors according to Johit. 3 men and 4 women. They are all Badols, the summoner behind her explained. We were stuck on the island, and only death was awaiting us. We wanted to leave. It was over 1,000 years ago. Along with the Badols, I have waited for the day of our escape. Fortnightly, a ship came to resupply us. We had decided to steal it. But at the end of the first week, our base had been violently under attack. Oh, I remember. This is okay. So this was 1,000 years ago. The stories of Vam and all them. I see. Our base had been violently under attack. Those were 2 chaotic days killed so many people. At the morning of the 3rd day, our aggressors left, and the ship duly berthed. We roamed the seas, but the enemy was everywhere. We have resigned ourselves to coming back to the island. Then we lived peacefully for some time. The base had been abandoned. Thereafter, Yevon spread out its power in the world, and the team came to build a temple. We thought we could mingle with them, but as soon as they arrived, they began to hunt the Badols. So Badols were... Aeonchors. Here. Being captured meant death. They turned them into Aeonchors. Until their death. Oh, they got turned into Aeonchors. You know about my method. In the eyes of others, this was without doubt ridiculous or ominous. She could detect sadness in his voice. She was commiserating with him. So this is still a Falnal, I think. Or Johit. Yuna blushed when he showed her how he did it. How he made Aeonchors. I feel like it's kissing. Okay. That's what I think it is. She was commiserating with him, but she was concentrated on her hand. on the fingers which had touched down the partition in order for her to keep her balance, on her skin which could feel the wood grain down to the smallest detail. She remembered that Joe had had difficulties in maintaining his summonings when he was beset by powerful emotions, yet nothing was gleaming. This boat is real? The summoner nodded to confirm it, and Yuna rushed toward the deck. She was still seeing the island and now the cove too. A detail drew her attention. She let out a cry of exclamation when she noticed that the mechanical towers, which stood out of the forest, seemed to washed out because of the bad weather. She had come back to be saved. Where is Titus? She thought that he was waiting for her in the Aeon Island, but currently Joey was not summoning anything. That is not the song I want to play. This is FF14. Speaking of FF14, actually I'll talk about it later, if I even remember it. She thought that he was waiting for her on the Aeon Island, but currently Joe was not summoning anything. In that case, where was her partner? The old man emerged slowly from the hold. Where is Titus? I told him that it was for your own good, and he immediately agreed. Did they leave him? No way. No, wait, no, go back. Did they leave? Did Ifano leave him? On the summoned island thingy? Okay, this is fairly short compared to what we've been reading so far, so we'll finish it. Chapter 29, 3 lines. Every second Bria spent moving in the form of fireflies. He could feel a little part of himself vanishing. He was wondering if it was similar to what the dead felt when they turned into fiends, and if the process occurred too much, what remained of the soul. Ultimately, his essence itself? Bria wanted to know, but he had lots of things to do. He was standing in the cove, looking at the open sea. He closed his eyes and tried to think about the landscape he had last contemplated, his mind starting to be befuddled. If his will was strong enough, maybe he could reconstitute himself. Over there, he agreed to sacrifice himself, as long as he could preserve his desire for vengeance. Why does Bria have desire for vengeance? Is it because of what Ifalno did with Kush or something? He concentrated his mind on a picture, a ship which was splitting the waves, and the statue of Anli fixed on its bow. Here I come, Ifalno, the ugly man. Oh, Sloane, grant me your help. I think Bria seeks vengeance on Ifalno for what he did to or with Kush, maybe? Perhaps. Chapter 30. Yuna did not know where the fireflies which were converging on the bow of the ship were coming. They were forming a sparkling ball of light. When the sparkle weakened, a silhouette appeared at the center. When she recognized the man, she jumped with surprise. She had already talked with him at the temple. His name was... Guard, Joe had exclaimed. You have finally understood? The newcomer looked around him, then examined his own body. He seemed surprised, then shrugged. Why not, he whispered, before turning towards the summoner. It has been a long time, Ifalno. You look bad. The poor god of beauty must be sobbing while looking at you. What happened to your red hair and your overbuilt muscles? This name has always been playing tricks on me. It would have been better for me to lead a simpler life. The old man had spoken with a very little voice, like a teenager. You too. It has taken you some time to understand. The newcomer pointed out to Ifalno. Excuse me, Yuna interrupted. Have you seen Titus by chance? I talked with him before the storm. I have in mind these memories. So familiar with another world. Some fragments, and I wanted to know if he knew how to travel between realities. After all, he has come from Xanarkand. You know, High Summoner, thanks to your bedols, my memories are back. Joed shook his head and stepped backwards. So I've decided to meet and greet the one who had stolen them. Oh. Has Bria found Ifalnal? The old man joined his hands and put down his fingertips on his forehead. The strange movement looked an apology, Yuna thought. But at this moment, she smelt a burning smell, characteristics of fireflies, and a mouse as big as a dog appeared. The young woman wrinkled her nose and came closer to the guard. I hadn't been bothered with a rat since a long time, he let out, while bursting out laughing. Maybe not. Yuna remembered that what the old man had told her a little earlier, because of his bad relation with his faith. He could only summon familiar objects. But that's only a rodent, the guard added, before disappearing. He reappeared just after, holding a rapier. Yuna recognized one of the weapons she had seen in the hold. When you understand how this body works, it becomes very useful. This man was living at the temple, with Yuna. They only greeted politely each other, but the young woman was feeling guilty for not having noticed his true nature. His weapon raised, Bria rushed toward the animal and slashed it. Oh no! The rat vanished in a cloud of light. The guard gave the summoner a despising look, then disappeared in his turn to reappear behind the old man. Bria, Vom, don't forget who gave you this body. Okay, I was right. Bria did find Eufonil, and he's getting his revenge, I think, now. Oh, but I know well. I remember how Kush and yourself have betrayed me before reuniting with your repulsive Bedols in order to lay a trap for me. The base has not been destroyed by the enemy, but you summoners. Is that what you remember? I understand now some things which escaped me at that time. Then, since when you and Kush, I regret it, Vom. I have kept manipulating your memories. Each time you remembered Kush and came to Besaid, I erased everything related to her. Why? This is getting juicy. To avenge myself and to prevent you from putting an end to that. Because of your deformed soul, you have seen an altered past. The reality is much prettier. The courage and the devotion of Kush. Adin interrupted him, and the three of us turned toward the origin of the noise. The hatch which led to the hole was open, and the false Bedol was slowly emerging from it. It was holding in his arms a bomb. Now, kill the guard, Joe had ordered. The Bedol came closer to Vom with a hesitant step before stopping and putting down the bomb on the deck. It initiated a kick which had to send the ball on his target, but it suddenly stood still. Yuna, Bria, and Johit were staring at him. A big wave made the ship toss around. The Bedol lost its balance and fell flat on its back. His hand touched the ball, which caused it to roll towards Johit. Uh-oh. The old man burst out laughing joyfully. I had 2 brothers, but I am the only one to have the gift of summoner. Run away, Yuna yelled. He ignored her and turned toward Bria. Do you know how much Kush was in love with you? She wanted you to live. Even if she did not want to become an Aeon Core and spend eternity between life and death, she came to me. She thought that without her, maybe you would have left the island. She wanted me to leave? It was her intention to tell you about that, but the enemy attacked us and you. The ball stopped gently at the foot of the old man. Uh-oh. I'm trying to analyze this. So Kush wanted Bria to live, even though she didn't want to be an Ancor and spend an eternal life. Okay. She went to Eufonil. She wanted Bria to leave, so she... The ball stopped gently at the foot of the old man. You died in the middle of the battle, and Kush lost her mind. She put all her soul into fireflies which were escaping from your bodies to gather them. It is by her efforts that you have become an incarnate spirit and that you stand here right now. Oh my gosh. So the reason he's even there is because of Kush. Yuna understood that unwittingly. She had done the same thing with Titus. Then the bomb exploded. Okay. Let's see. The bomb exploded. Who dies? If anyone dies. The fireflies which were forming the old man spread out around Yuna and Bria, as if he did not want to leave them. Okay. What have you done for 1,000 years? Bria whispered. Inside the lie which constituted his life, only the love and the promise shared with Kush were real, but he had attached too much importance to it. If only she could still address him as you, with her expressions so charming. He seemed to be picturing her and adolescent smile. Yuna began to dance on the deck of the ship, determined to spend the necessary time to send the soul of the Incent in the other world. I see. She had difficulty in understanding the summoner, who, after having seen that the wish of his faith had not come true, had let this tragedy continue for 1,000 years on end. Where is Kush? Bria suddenly asked. Where is the Aeon Core? Frenzied, his silhouette more and more gleaming, he was looking all around him, staring at the hatch. He rushed towards it. There's only Bedols over there, Yuna told him. But where did he hide her? You really don't know? There's not much time left. If Fano wanted to stop everything, he has certainly endeavored to destroy his faith. She was very careful not to tell him that Titus was charged with this task. If I'm still here, then it means that she's all right, Bria noted. He was biting his lower lip. It's interesting, Kush wants... Oh my gosh, wait. I think Kush wants them to kill her so that Bria and her can finally go to the far plane together in peace. It's kind of similar to Shuyin and Len. How Shuyin kind of was angry and stuck on this world trying to kill everyone. But then Len was like, let's just go back. Let's just be at peace together. And then Kush wants the same thing. She just wants to be at peace with them. But Bria is seeking revenge. If I'm still here, then it means that she's alright, Bria noted. He was biting his lower lip, and the blood which was escaping from it was shining before disappearing. I apologize for having you involved in this story, he told her before disappearing. Did he just leave her? So Johid is dead. Ifanal is dead. He got sent by Yuna. At least she knows how to send still. Chapter 31. Bria's disappearance had plunged Besaid into chaos. And since Titus had returned without Yuna, things had only gotten worse. So Titus is back. Be quiet, the young man ordered the villagers gathered in the tent of the Crusaders. I'll take responsibility. I'll bring Yuna back, but I need your help. We need to find Bria. A voice raised in order to ask the role of Titus in this matter. Another one demanded to expel him from the island. Only Waka's and Lulu's intervention allowed him to convince the masses to look for Bria. We won't find him, Riku affirmed with a pout. He escaped from a closed room. If he can get through walls made of stone, he's not human. Then what is he? Titus asked with a beaten-down tone. Those things which come from the far plane, those piles of fireflies which can wander our world without being noticed, they exist, right? Let's postpone these speculations, okay? Payne took apart. Did someone examine his cell thoroughly? There may be a second exit. I examined it myself, with brother and buddy, Waka protested. Maybe you should do it once again, Payne answered. She left the tent, and Riku and Lulu followed in her steps. Titus apologized to Waka and left in his turn. No, there's no back door, Buddy affirmed with an indolent tone. The monk assured it to me. In order to apologize for having forced his way in, Brother and himself had agreed to clean up the temple. Sitting on the ground in Bria's cell, they were taking a break. It's just to be sure, Payne answered while ferreting through the room. Lying on the side, Brother was observing her while swearing in her bed. When she finished her inspection, she sighed, Nothing, no back door. I was in doubt, but now I'm convinced. Waka crossed his arms on his chest and raised his chin in a defiant movement. I want to find Bria too, Shinra whispered. He's not going to say that he let him out. He had stayed silent in a corner of a room until now. I can understand why. You won't be getting your revenge until I'm done with him, Titus answered. The boy shook his head. He knows so many astounding things. He can change my vision of the world, I'm sure of that. Do you want me to break his tooth, Buddy asked Breezy. This kick on my chest is a blessing, Shinra answered while massaging his thorax. And then a woman belonging to elders entered the cell. Bria is not at the end of the temple? She asked. I sent someone to check a second time. I don't think he's over there. In that case, I have an idea. While everyone was looking at her, the old woman announced, with a detaching air, something very surprising. He was not a criminal in the end, Lulu whispered after the revelation. What's the revelation? That he's immortal? Or something like that? Or he's unsent. The ship was moving away from Besaid, and Yuna did not know what to do. She had entered the room containing the rudder. He had pulled some levers and pushed some buttons, without any result. Since Johid had disappeared, the Chocobo was not here anymore. Yuna decided to try summoning and headed towards the room where the Fates were resting. Unfortunately, because of the time they had spent between life and death, the Bedols had crystallized. Therefore, the shock of the explosion had broken them. A part of the Fates should have turned into fireflies, but Yuna did not see anything of the sort. She deduced that the Aeon cores were really weak. Was it because of their age or because the link with the Falno was poor? She did not know the answer. I can try to swim. There was a huge chance that she sinks before reaching her goal, yeah. The problem would come after. The last time, she could rely on Titus's presence to follow him in this other reality, as Titus had accompanied Sin from Xanarkand. Alone, she could not go anywhere. She turned towards the island, more and more distant, and put her finger to her lips. Titus had taught her how to whistle with her thumb and her forefinger. Should she call him now? If she did so, the young man would rush up immediately. But she was fearing what would happen then. Chapter 33. This is a long one. With the help of ropes, Aurochs and villagers had climbed the mechanical towers standing on the path of the ruins and had started examining them in every nook and cranny. These vestiges were older than the village, and yet everyone had always ignored them. The team which was searching them this day appeared to be excited. The teachings of Yevon had always forbidden the inhabitants to come closer to them. Seeing so many people gathered there was kind of new. Even since the temple had lost its power, nobody had dared to transgress the rules. Sometimes a foreigner climbed one of the towers, but the locals ignored this incursion. That's a bit much, isn't it? Normal if it's for Yuna, Waka answered. That's the only reason? That's the only reason? You remember the monk who had worked here for several years and disappeared recently. Lulu inspected Bria of having killed him, but without proof, how could she make accusations? Furthermore, the culprit was very popular among the old women of the village, Playa, and she didn't want to interfere in the internal affairs of the church. It had been the right thing to do. The death of the monk was accidental? It seems so. He fell from a tower and was severely injured. Bria, who just came from Bavel, found him and took him to the temple. The elders tried to save him in vain. But why not tell him to the others? Why did they hide his death? The grandmothers had insisted. According to them, if the world learned that a monk from Besaid had fallen from a machine, the disgrace would rain down upon the temple and all the people who come to pray there. They judged severely quite harmless behavior, Titus declared. He raised his head toward the top of the tower, from where the search party was going down. Sliding down along ropes, they appeared to be having fun. I still don't understand what they're doing here. Why look for Bria in this place everyone hates? Before the death of the monk, Bria had promised him to inspect the ruins and to send a report to Bavel. He had planned to finish it today. Titus was not managing to determine the link between that and their search, but he decided to stay silent. The grandmother has come to say to us he might have left to keep his word. As for now, he has proceeded. There's another story. And you really think that after the return of Yuna, the storm, our disappearance, he would have run away in order to finish a report? Every day, the elders asked him to do a wealth of things for them. It's not surprising if he fell behind. The grandmother was afraid. There is a chance that he took the risk of climbing the ruins too fast and he fell. Unbelievable. That must be how old women think. No, I meant Bria. I didn't know that the elders trusted him that much. He has hit a child, right? Yes, in my opinion, Shinra hasn't made up this story. Yet, even for me who knows little of Bria, it's difficult to think he did such a thing. We must find him quickly. Okay, but what will you do after? You haven't told us anything. He knows where I must go. Go where? To do what? How will this new outing help you to bring Yuna back? If the grandmothers trust Bria, you can trust me, right? Titus was happy to have come back to Besaid and had not thought about before involving Waka and the others in his search. At present he was regretting it. He could not explain to them what he had to do. Push gently the shoulder of a woman seated beside a window? He knows that there was more behind this request than what the words could let presage. He could not be delighted with this mission, even if Kush was smiling when she had explained it to him. He could see her dimples. She had taken his 2 hands at that time, whilst they barely knew each other. Had she tried to charm him in order to convince him to accede to her request? Without that, he might not have agreed. He had to do it alone. Listen, Waka, thank the villagers for me, and say goodbye for them too. I have to find Yuna alone. And as he was coming closer to the cove, he was constantly forcing the pace. I wonder what Yuna is doing. He was so impatient to see her again. A spell which will allow you to reach the place of your choice. But of course, that's it. Was he going to succeed? Teleportation. No, I'm kidding. He ran with all his strength and focused on Yuna. When he reached the beach, the sand slowed him down, but he continued until he stumbled. The impact was more violent than he thought. Instead of dry sand, he had rolled onto planks. Oh, he made it. Hard and soaked until bumping into a soft object. You be careful, as an exasperated voice let out. He opened his eyes and discovered Yuna seated on the ground, keeping her balance, with the help of her 2 arms in order for her to not fall backwards. She was glaring daggers at him. That really hurts. That really hurts. She stood straight slowly, adjusted her clothes, and put her hands on her hips. Sorry, he stuttered. Can you stop apologizing all the time? Yes, sorry. He closed his mouth and jumped on his foot. That's awesome, Yuna. Thanks to Kush's magic, I can go anywhere. Just a moment ago, I was on the beach in Besaid. What in the world is this? I just had to focus on a place to reach it. That's great, isn't it? By the way, where are we? You've thought of this place to reach it, but you don't know where we are? You could tell me, since you know it. Delighted to have found Yuna, he came closer to her to kiss her. She was smiling, but showed quickly a displeased look. He can't catch a break, huh? Let's take advantage of your momentum, he declared. That's the principle of Blitzball. And what's the next step, then? To talk with Kush. Where is she? Yuna asked, surprised. No idea. He could only rely on magic. He placed himself behind Yuna and embraced her with his arms. Nice. Yuna put her hands on his. He closed his eyes and thought of Kush. He immediately felt pins and needles run up and down his body. He ignored them and continued to concentrate. Soon after, he could smell fireflies. He opened his eyes. Yuna and himself were enveloped in a powerful white light. Blinded, he closed his eyes. He sensed that something was leaving him from the back of his head. Something that he knew, but he yet could not identify. He felt fright. We may have a problem. Stay against me, Yuna answered with a resolute tone. A heat flow transferred from the hands of the young girl to Titus's arms, who took confidence from them. This is love, he whispered. Really? Really? She teased him. Thereafter, he felt a shock under his foot. Anxious, he opened his eyes once again. The light had disappeared. Yuna and himself were standing in a dilapidated room. A smell of rust was fluttering in the air. Before them, a pillar eroded by corrosion and a square window. I think they're there. I know where we are, Yuna said. Look down. This is the Cove of Besaid. They came closer to the opening and noted that she was right. The ground was far away from them, but a familiar voice reached them. But where has he gone? Riku was grumbling. Ooh, did they make it back to Besaid? The Besaid they know? The teenager and the Gullwings were walking away on the path which led to the village. Titus immediately stepped backwards and bent down. Why are we hiding? Yuna asked, squatting beside him. He turned around and let out an exclamation of surprise. Kush! Wearing a pale green dress, the woman was sitting on a magnificent seat, which appeared to be moved in the empty and ruined room. You wanted to come here? Yuna asked. She came closer to Kush and brushed her shoulder. She immediately stepped backwards. Particles of light were dancing around her fingertips and the shoulder of the woman. Titus examined Kush more closely. She was sitting straight on her seat, her hands joined together on her tightened legs, her eyes closed, her face lowered. She seemed half asleep, but soon enough Titus could understand that there was no spark of life in this body anywhere. Oh my. Yet Titus was not sure about her death. Yuna, who was the Kush we have talked to? A summoning. I see. You've been aware of that for a long time? Since our first meeting on the hill of the False Besaid. So this island has been created too. By who? Yuna was silently staring at Kush. There was a summoner who was in love with this woman, she ended up saying, but he doesn't exist in this world anymore. She seemed sad. Kush asked me to push her shoulder. Kush asked me to push her shoulder. If I do that, she will fall from her seat and will break on the ground like glass. Is that what she wants? He started to have doubts. And what if it was this summoner who wanted to use me? I don't know, Yuna answered. But without the consent of the faith, he's powerless. Then what do I have to do? I don't know, her partner answered with a tired voice. I think I'm mixing it up, but oh well. It's fine. Oh, wait, no, it's fine. Then what do I have to do? I don't know. I guess. Outside, a crowd was forming. They could hear quite well Riku, who was looking for Titus. There's light up there, someone exclaimed. A blinding brightness had just flooded the room. Titus embraced Yuna to protect her. They stepped back against the most distant wall, where they could run away if need be. The young man asked himself. But the light ended up vanishing, and they could now discern the silhouette of a man. Bria! Titus exclaimed. They found him, or he found them. The man answered with a vacant look, before turning away and scanning the place. Finally, he looked at Kush. What's he gonna do? He came closer to her, went down and bended knee, and put his right hand on hers. With his left hand, he brushed Kush's leg, while murmuring her name. Particles of light were slowly fluttering when they were touching. More went caressing Titus's face, who discovered with surprise that they were coming from where his body was touching Yuna. Bria stood up straight, leaned on Kush, and put his forehead against hers. It's time to forgive and to put an end to this story. They could feel tenderness and exhaustion in Bria's voice. Yuna and Titus, am I correct? He suddenly asked while turning towards the young people. You're not sure? Titus protested. Bria came closer to them with an unstable walk. He put one hand on the young woman and the other on her partner. Am I mistaken? No, but... Pardon me, by dint of jumping from a place to another one, I've lost a lot of myself on the way. I wonder how I could have been ignorant of her location, he told them with a sour laugh. If Fonlo's magic was powerful, Yuna answered. Ah, that one, Bria said without particular animosity. He looked at Kush, then through the window, from his position. He could probably only see the sky, before turning towards Yuna, Titus, and finally Kush. I've loved two persons from the bottom of my heart, Mero and Mara. Jealous, if Fonlo has used his magic against me. Well, I think so. Isn't it Kush that you've loved the most? Yuna asked. I owe her a lot. She allowed me to stay in this world and to meet my wife and my daughter. After losing so much, I finally understand it. Now that Fonlo's power has disappeared, my mind is only composed of memories of my true self. Yeah, because Fonlo was like altering his memories or whatever. And Kush, Titus insisted. He was feeling a dark anger building inside himself. Bria turned towards Kush and his face lighted up with a large smile. He seemed serene. That's a puppy love. A story from a distant past. On that note, he emitted a strong light. Wait, Titus exclaimed. I have been able to see her one last time. I'm glad. Don't leave us like that. I have to go see a lot of people in order to apologize to them. Hey, he wasn't a horrible guy after all. Ask that young Al-Bed forgiveness for me, will you? And tell him this, too. Guard, protector of the Farplane, grant us calm and explosion. But those have guaranteed themselves a social status thanks to their mastery of explosives. That's all I know. As for the rest, he'll have to search by himself. You've given your word, Titus took apart. The report. He wanted to hold Bria back by any way possible. You got to do the report. Who cares about this paper? The man answered while laughing. The bright silhouette dilated, lost his human form and vanished. Some fireflies were still fluttering around Kush, as if they were reluctant to leave her. Soon enough, they were aspirated and disappeared in their turn. They're gone. He has left, Yuna ended. Titus let out a cry of astonishment. Kush was starting to gleam. She's leaving too. Will it be alright? Titus asked. He had imagined a much more touching reunion between Kush and Bria. Yeah, me too, actually. Thought they were gonna have more of a moment, rather than Bria just being like, I got to see her one last time. Peace. There are things we cannot change, Yuna answered with a serious tone. Titus was worried. His partner gently put her hand on his with a comforting gesture. That's nice. The last chapter. Chapter 34. Yuna had gone with Titus to Zanarkand, the real Zanarkand, the ruined city. We're at the end. Yes, we've made it. They had tried too hard to follow the path they had taken during their first journey, 2 years earlier. The airship was still grounded, and Titus could not use magic anymore to cover the long distance. A magic only in words, Yuna insisted. They had contented themselves with walking. Like in their memories, the fireflies were dancing among the vestiges. I wonder what I actually am. Yuna knew the answer. Oh wait, okay. So Titus was summoned by Yuna, I think. I think that's what this is. Technically, Titus is an Aeon. In the same way that Kush was an Aeon. And how Fonlo summoned a bunch of stuff. I see. So that's how he's back, basically. Too long. TLDR, Yuna summoned Titus as an Aeon, basically. I think. Yuna knew the answer, but she did not intend at all to give it to him. If he knew, everything would end. She was bearing in mind the vacant look of Bria. She was thinking of Johit too, who had ceaselessly postponed the fateful moment. Maybe the fates have gathered the fragments of my mind to put me together, Titus ventured. Then after a pause he added, or maybe I'm still just a dream. Oh, this is the perfect ending. This is the perfect ending. But they were not dreaming. They were not drowning. They were not dreaming, and sooner or later they will face up to reality. Like Kush, Yuna will have to make a choice, to obey the rules or to rebel. If that's the case, there's a chance that I disappear someday. Oh my gosh. But this was the fate of the living. Eternity was just a decoy. This thought appeased Yuna. Farewells were inevitable, but she would think about it in due course. As long as you're in my heart, and that I'm in yours, everything will be alright, Titus resumed. He did not know what had happened, but his radiant expression was wonderful. Is that what the faith told you? No, but I like it, he answered while bursting out laughing. While Yuna was contemplating the ruins, Titus remembered their first meeting, and like her, wanted to stay optimistic, regardless of the situation. She turned round and he offered her his most beautiful smile. The young girl gave him a really pale one, but it was enough for Titus. He had decided to have faith in her. By his side, he would be able to face up to this world. He had faith in Yuna's smile. To be continued. Well, that's pretty crazy. It's kind of cool that they have like the third person point of view from that scene that you get from the perfect ending here. But that's crazy. So, basically, to sum this all up, this was a long-winded book to explain how Titus came back. Basically. Because the whole part about Bria, Kush, Ifalno, the whole, like, summoned version of Besaid, it was all a way for Yuna to come to the realization that a summoner can actually do a lot more than just send people and summon Aeons. They can do a lot more things. Yeah, and so this was just a way for them to be like, yeah, a summoner can actually, like, call someone as an Aeon from their memories or something like that. Basically. Pretty interesting. Pretty cool, though, I guess. Yeah, this was a long... This book... Yeah, essentially, if anyone needs a summary of the book without spoilers, it's basically a way to explain how the good/perfect ending is possible. Or how it makes sense. Because if you just watch it after beating 10-2, it definitely doesn't make sense. The book was a way to be like, okay, this is why he's back. So yeah. Kind of cool. I mean, the back and forth was cool, and then the reveal later that the Bria from the stories is the same Bria that's here. It was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool book. It was a pretty cool book. But yeah. Good story. Now we're set up to listen to the audio drama. How long is the audio drama? How long is FF10 audio drama? 30 minutes. 30 minutes from now. 5:02, 12. Okay, so if I start it now, I'll finish at 2:23. Alright, we'll do it. We'll do it. Alright, but yeah. Basically, yeah, I already said what I needed to say about this. It was cool. I was confused, though. The part about where Yuna fainted because she saw Titus's head at her feet. I'm not sure if he died. But then again, he was never really the real him to begin with, so maybe it doesn't matter too much. I think basically the important part is already what I said, how Titus is a summoned. He was a summoned. So yeah. That's, in the words of a wise man, and that, as they say, is that. To be continued. Alright, let's open up Steam. Do I have to go to my... I'll just keep it in display mode. Let me hide this, though. 1,000 words have never been spoken. Alright, what is this called? Ah! Credits and voice audio. This is called what? Will or whatever? FF10 audio drama. FF10 will. FF10 will. All right. Let's watch. I mean, let's listen. Shall we? Let me change it to this, I guess. So how is this gonna work? 1,000 words. Wait, what? Why is there no sound? Through the ages, flat to you. Huh? Load. LeBlanc goon. I was a LeBlanc goon. How do I exit? Also, why is there no sound in this? Don't tell me I have to beat the game for it. Ah, here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on. I'm gonna restart it. Because I missed the intro. Here we go. There we go. Final Fantasy X will. Audio should be good, right? Kitase. Who is this Will person?
2 years. It's been 2 years since Spirit entered the Eternal Calm. I was given a new life. For a year, I was able to walk alongside Yuna.
It's like an audio thing, I think.
Great. It really was.
I think, at least. Okay. Dum 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 dum. Nojima. Wow, Titus's theme.
Kurgum and I were walking down Bevel's Stadium Road, formerly known as Micah Road.
Who's this? Who are these
The
two?
stadium that was supposed to be completed by now is still bearing its skeleton. Will the tournament really take place here?
She said
How
Bevel
will the council
too.
take responsibility if it doesn't? Well, it doesn't really matter to me.
Titus.
It has no bearing on my life. The real issue for me is the crowd up ahead, and the star shining in the middle of it.
Hey, Chuami, not that way. We gotta hurry.
Kurgum and
Waiting on
Shuami.
you, so we might as well just be late. Anyway, look. Isn't that Titus?
Titus.
Wow, it is him.
So it is
Let's
supposed to be
go take a
said as
closer look.
Titus.
Okay.
What? Are you nervous?
Titus.
The reason for Kurgum's nervousness wasn't Titus's status as a Blitzball superstar, but because he was one of the legendary Guardians.
He is. He was.
Alongside High Summoner Yuna, he had literally saved Spira from annihilation.
True.
By the by, I too was feeling a little nervous. My reason being that he knew my father.
Really? And who is your father? Shuami. And Kurgum.
It's so awesome to meet you. Cheer for me, okay?
There he is. The legend himself.
Thank you. Thank
Can I
you.
get an autograph too? I've been your fan since forever. Titus, we're rooting for you.
Yep, yep.
Yep. It wasn't just his words that were hollow. When I shook his hand, his grip felt weak and lifeless.
Okay, well, I gotta get going. I'll see y'all at the stadium.
Now that is what you call a star.
That I won't deny, but
What is it?
I think he's injured. Or maybe he's sick or something. Hey, Kurgum, which team is favored to win it all?
Probably the Besaid Aurochs.
And
Oh
after that-
yeah, be
The
safe.
Elbed Psyches, maybe?
Okay, let's find a betting parlor. We might make a fortune.
Chwami, is that really, you know...
Brother
Allow me to make formal introductions.
and Sin.
This is my childhood friend, Kurgum.
Oh, okay, thank
If
you.
all was right in the world, he'd be a summoner.
Look at Sin.
But things as they are, he currently serves as a council-authorized sender, who ushers souls to the far plane. My name is Chwami, and I serve as Kurgum's assistant.
Okay.
But in reality, he serves me. Now, don't misunderstand. This isn't about love or some such, and it never will be. The future may be uncertain, but that I know for sure. This is not some kind of ironic lead-in. Repeat, not a lead-in.
They're dating 2 chapters later. Okay,
Let's
dude.
go.
Oh,
Ew,
right,
Seymour.
alright. We had been
Disgusting.
assigned to fly to Besaid Island on behalf of Spirit Council Chancellor Barrel.
Ooh, barrel eye.
Just a minor errand, really.
Lulu, nice. Nebraska's final Aeon, nice. I hated that guy.
Besaid Island?
No, dummy, that's Kilika.
We are approaching Besaid. Prepare for landing.
Did you just laugh?
Is he?
Chwami!
Prepare for landing, weapon yuck.
You bruts.
Our objective is to meet the one and only High Summoner Yuna.
Who wouldn't want to meet
She
her?
currently serves as an advisor to the Yevoners.
Any Yevoners? I told you it's Yevoners.
Yevoners. You know the story with them.
I-
Stuffy, anachronistic fossils. They're the guard dogs of the old ways and so-called morality. The recent commotion caused by hardline Yevoners has been quelled. But it's nauseating to think that organizations like that still exist in Spira. I really don't like these Yevoners. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested in meeting the heroine who defeated Sin 3 years ago. And
Oh,
freed
okay.
Spira from a 1,000-year curse.
This is a year after 10-2.
She also must have known my father well.
Look, it's Titus. Now I have to keep saying Titus. Because they confirmed that it's supposed to be said as Titus. I didn't want to say it. No, you don't? What do you say?
So, what business does
Lulu.
the council have here?
My
You say
apologies,
Titus
Lulu,
also? Okay.
But my
I think
instructions
Titus
are to
sounds
speak
better.
To Lady Yuna in person.
Oh yeah? Well then I guess we should
Waka.
let you see her. Not. Lots of people come here saying the same thing, yeah?
We're here to spare Yuna any unnecessary headaches. Now state your business.
But
Well, I guess you got a job to do too. Let's do this. I'll take you to Yuna, but I sit in on the meeting too. We'll all share the pain, eh?
What pain is there for you? I
Pain?
thought. But I said nothing because the big-breasted mayor and the oafish caretaker were also legendary guardians.
Big-breasted mayor.
They knew my father too,
True.
so it wouldn't have been wise to start trouble right away.
Very true. Who is their father? Any guesses? Oh gosh, closer of trials. I've got PTSD. Ew, Seymour.
This place used to be called the Cloister of Trials. It's just a regular passageway now
Big
that you're
press.
safe. Summoners used to walk through the room farthest down to meet with the faith. That's where Yuna is right now.
What's Lady Yuna doing there? I mean, if there's no faith.
Even with no faith, you can still pray. That's what Yuna does now.
What does she pray for?
Peace on Spira.
Yeah, right.
Say again?
Oh, nothing. By the way, Mr. Waka,
Mr.
I'm a
Waka.
little confused about Yevoners. Their objective is not restoring power to the Yevon temples?
What, we starting from there? Well, I guess it's pretty important, so I'll explain. Yevoners aren't trying to control the world through the teachings like the old temples did. All they're trying to do is live their own lives by the teachings. That's all.
It's fair enough.
It's just one way of living.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand the difference.
The temples maintain several big lies. Sin being a manifestation of human misdeeds, the taboo against the use of machines, that kind of stuff. But everything else they said was pretty much on the money. Gratitude for the bounty of nature, respecting your neighbors.
But all of that just sounds like common sense. I don't think you need to become a Yevoner and pray.
That's why I said it's one way to live, not the only way. How old are you?
17?
So you'll learn soon.
She's a youngin'.
The older you get, the harder it becomes to change how you live.
Vegnagun.
Even in this new age, there are people that are lost. Yevoners are a gathering of people like that.
So it's different from, say, New Yevon?
Those guys were just using Yevon's name to gain the people's trust, eh? Their views were actually progressive.
So the Yevoners are backwards thinking?
Wait,
Kinda.
no, that's not what I meant. Anyway, New Yevon is gone, and now it's a council. What's the point of discussing it now?
So to sum up, Yevoners are basically a gathering of weak people?
Oh my gosh.
Chwami?
Why you gotta go and say it out loud?
Sure.
Everyone knows. They know.
If they know, they shouldn't just crawl into a hole. They should go out and try to live. They think they maintain the
Did that
peace
change
through
anything?
prayer? Talk about delusional.
Chwami, was it? Be kinder.
Here,
Be bigger.
I'm increasing it now.
Your kind of thinking will only hurt those people.
I didn't like how he said those people.
Good.
As if he had no stake.
Hymn of the Faith.
Okay, wait here. I'll
Cool.
bring Yuna. Just keep it to
My ears are
business.
getting
You
blasted.
hassle her like you did with me, I'll throw you out.
Hassle? Perhaps I was hassling. I was irked.
Perfect.
Praying
Okay.
for peace? Far too late for that. My mother was killed by Yevoner hunters.
Oh,
She was
really?
impaled by a spear and died with blood streaming from her chest.
Ouch.
She wasn't a Yevoner, just a sympathizer. If it wasn't for them,
Unalaska.
Chwami, I know how you feel, but please. we
You should have
a
said
job to do.
something.
I know.
Just please. Oh, it's Lady Yuna.
Yuna.
Hello, and welcome to Besaid,
It's Yuna.
home of the Yevoners. I am the priestess Yuna.
Greetings, my lady. I am Kurgum, an authorized sender. I have long wanted to meet you, and I have something for you from Chancellor Baralai.
Baralai.
I see. Then please leave the package and be on your way.
She said,
Hold on there.
give the box
Did you
and get
just hear
out.
what he said? He said he's waited a long time to meet you. Ever since he awakened, he's been waiting for this day to...
No, it's fine. You must be very busy.
Just a
Kurgan,
tad.
stay out of this.
A little, just a
But
tad.
Lady Yuna said she's busy.
Busy? Too busy to eat? Too busy to sleep? Too busy to talk just a few moments to guests who came all the way from Bavel?
I apologize. I had to interrupt my prayers, so I'm feeling a bit anxious.
I think Spira is peaceful enough without your prayers.
You're being
Sure,
rude,
there's trouble here and
Shwami.
there, but the council takes care of most of them.
I suppose so.
Huh?
Hey, we don't need that kind of talk. You brought something, then let's see it.
Yes.
Who's that?
Here it is.
Kurgum gave the sphere he received from Chancellor Baralai to Yuna.
Ooh.
The sphere showed an image of the moon flow.
Ooh.
In its currents were two enormous yet adorable shoe puffs,
Ew, Seymour.
waiting together lovingly, tangling their long noses.
Wow.
Two shoe puffs?
One morning, there was another one.
Well, where'd it come from? The Moonflow shoe puff is supposed to be the last one?
Ooh.
30 years ago, there was a shoe puff couple, but the female was attacked and killed by Sin.
Oh no.
There are elderly folk who claim that it is that shoe puff.
The beckoning.
Hmm?
Yeah, it has to be.
But this time, it's not the Yevoners. We've forbidden the beckoning outside of the far plane.
I don't know the reason, but Chancellor Barrelai insisted that Lady Yuna see this, then come to Bavel to discuss it.
Kurgum, you're a sender, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Then you can do it too. This shoe puff is merely an illusion. If you send it, it will cease to be.
That's not the only problem.
The moonflow is overflowing again. The area around the moonflow is always teeming with spiritual energy, but this is abnormal. We need to find out why, on top of finding out who brought back the shoe puff. I'm pretty sure the council thinks it's the Yevoners. So it's best if Lady Yuna goes to see them personally. Her voice carries weight with many.
True.
Barrelite just wants Yuna to bail him out. Appease the council yourself, why don't you?
Waka,
Yuna was supposed to be spared from politics. That's why she shouldn't.
She shouldn't...
I'm so sorry. I can't go. But that will get you two in trouble, right?
She doesn't want
So
that.
let's do this. I'll create a letter sphere for the council, and you can take.
I saw Tidus in Bavel. Your boyfriend, right?
Ooh.
Yes. Did he look
The B
well?
word.
He was hiding it, but he looked injured.
Really? Waka, did you know?
Nope.
Probably doesn't want to worry people.
Chiwami.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yuna, let's go talk to Lou.
All right.
Lou. Hey.
After leaving the temple, we were left alone for a while. I don't know what they were discussing, but it was clear that Yuna was moved
Yeah,
more by her
this is a cat
boyfriend's
jam.
injury than Spira's current problems.
She cares about Titus.
Hey, Kurgum.
Hmm?
I'm a little annoyed.
But it looks like we can fulfill our duty. Besides, we get to talk to Lady Yuna a bit more. I always wanted her advice on how summoners should live in a world without the faith.
Yunalesca.
And you can ask about Master Orin.
Shh. If they find out I'm his daughter, they'll all start kowtowing. That info is our doomsday.
Orin had a daughter?
Orin's
That's...
daughter?
Mayor?
Is that true?
Who's the mom?
Yes, it is.
Who's the mother?
Did you laugh?
Have you ever lived with him?
No.
It's
but
not
I've heard
Yuna.
Stories from my mother.
Have you even met him?
I was too little to remember.
It's not Yuna, dude. No, she
I
does
can't
not
prove
get around,
otherwise.
dude.
You don't look like him at all.
I take after my mother.
There were others that looked more like him.
Huh?
Orin, Roska, Jecht. I've met many a swindler claiming to be their children, asking for their
Oh,
things.
she thinks she's a fake.
And you think I'm one of them? Are you calling my mother a liar?
I won't go that far.
Who is your mother?
But if Orin did have children, there's no way you wouldn't remember him, and he wouldn't hide it from us. Orin isn't that kind of man.
True. He was a man of
Big
honor.
breasts, bigger attitude. Just because she knows Orin, she thinks she can say anything.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I've confirmed the mayor as a hostile, but that's just fine. I'll
Big
deal with her
breasts,
eventually.
big attitude.
Anyway, I mean Yuna, Kurgum, the caretaker Waka, and I decided to stop by the Moonflow before going to Bavel. The airship had mechanical problems and couldn't fly, so it was an arduous trip. Furthermore, the banks of the Moonflow were packed with people wanting to see the new shoe puff.
Yeah, there really are 2 shoe puffs.
Cool.
Wow. So many spectators here, yeah?
Not precisely, Waka.
Huh? What are they if they're not spectators?
Young Orin, look at that.
Half the people here are illusions.
Hmm?
The moonflow energy is responding to the will of the living. It's as if we're in the far plane.
Oh wow.
Yes,
What? You can sense it too, Kurgan?
yes, I can. For instance, that family there, the father and daughter are alive, but the mother... so sad.
Oh.
I've never been on a far plane pilgrimage, but is it always this
LeBlanc
vivid?
and gang.
Not quite. It's true, this almost seems too...
Too real. Good song.
Come on, Melo. We have to get home before night falls.
Okay. Mommy? You're coming with us, right?
Oh
She
no.
can't do that, sweetheart.
Oh.
But why? She's here. She came
That's
to
sad.
see us.
Come on, Melo. We can come visit her again another time.
No, I want her to come home.
Ugh, nice work, Dad. Of course she's gonna say that. It's hard enough to say goodbye once to a dead parent, but twice? That's just cruel.
Hey, Mommy? You'll come with us, right? Come
Oh.
home?
That's sad.
Yes, Milu. Let's go home.
Really?
This can't be.
Lady Yuna, could this be...
Uh-oh.
unbelievable.
Isn't that Seymour's
Kurgan,
theme?
explain.
A beckon delusion doesn't speak. More accurately,
Wait, what?
only the beckoner can hear the voice.
So, what? If it's not an illusion, we call that real, right?
Typically.
You should report this to the council at once.
Agreed. Let's go. Hey, Kurgan, what are you doing? You're gonna dance?
Souls must be sent. Order must be maintained.
Kurgum, not now. It'll only cause sadness.
But this is too unnatural. It's wrong. The council must have known about this and wanted you to see it, right? So you can do something about it?
Even if that were so, now is not the time. No one has the right to violate this reunion. Not me, not the council.
Forget about rights. Look how happy they are. You two start sending everyone here, there'll be a riot. I don't want to be collateral damage.
Well, a little sending here and there won't take care of this, right? Let's come back later.
But
Kurgum,
Kurgum, you gotta
Please.
chill, dude. Chill out, bro.
And so, we return to Bavel.
Moogle.
Chuami, your shoe.
What are we waiting on?
More importantly,
More importantly? Is there anything more important than my question?
Who's that supposed to be?
I don't think so.
when I stopped the
That
sending,
portrait.
Lady Yuna looked relieved, right?
I guess.
I thought Lady Yuna was a righteous person.
Excessive hero worship. You expect too much.
Maybe you're right.
Looking back now, we could have predicted this. What we saw that day at the Moonflow wasn't just an omen. It was a clear sign of the return.
Of Sin?
The return of what is now right
Oh my
before
gosh.
my eyes. Sin.
You're kidding. What happened?
It has to be a mistake.
What happened
right,
to the
Chuami?
eternal calm?
It's just some big monster.
No. That is sin. The sin that should no longer be.
Well, shoot, dude.
Are you saying someone beckoned it to
What?
return?
Yes. Very strongly.
Who?
Someone strongly wished for sin.
But what?
Who would want
What are
Sin
we
back?
gonna do?
Only a summoner and the final Aeon can defeat Sin.
But Lady Yuna, without the faith...
Yuna, let's go back to Besaid. They'll push this all on you. It doesn't matter to people that there's no faith. Sin is for summoners in their minds. That's just how it is.
This is bad.
Welcome. Coming?
I will abide by Lady Yuna's decision. Lady Yuna!
I have to see Tidus.
What is the deal with this woman? Seriously.
Tidus, you didn't ask for your father, right? Just kidding. Imagine.
Chuami,
What are we waiting on now?
Chuami?
Where they be going?
Chuami, that room is... Shh. Chuami, it's not polite to eavesdrop.
Don't tell me you're not curious about what the High Summoner and the Superstar are talking about.
What does that mean?
You have that girl, so...
I told you, Marfi is just
Uh-oh.
a friend.
Really?
Come on, Yuna. If you just think for a minute,
I can't think.
you're
Uh-oh.
not yourself.
Yeah. Something's wrong with me. I didn't think
Tidus?
this would... I'm sorry.
Well, as long as you're aware of it.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm sorry, but I'm no longer looking at you.
What?
I think I'm in love with someone else.
Who?
Someone you don't know.
Let me meet him then.
I'm sorry.
Kurgum, this is unreal. Unreal.
What is
the
going
world
on?
is about to end and she's having a spat.
What is going
Why
on?
on Spira are you crying, Kurgum?
Chuami, I'm sorry.
What is going on here?
I'm in love with Lady Yuna. That's why
What?
I can't be with you.
What?
I'm sorry.
Say what now? Since when is our relationship like that? What's going on here?
If it's not like that, then it's fine. Yes, let's say goodbye here. We each have to go our separate ways.
What is happening?
Kurgum?
You can't understand, Chuami. Only summoners can.
Ah, and there it is. The Doomsday Statement.
I'm sorry.
Whatever.
What's happening? Oh my gosh, what happened to Tidus and Yuna?
So I left the Summoners and came back to Besaid.
This is making me sad.
I was a little frazzled and not thinking straight. But I probably came here to drag out the people who defeated Sin once. Determined though he may be, it was too big a task for Kurgum.
And that was it.
So you just came crawling back here? That's a laugh.
So who do you think this guy is, Yuna loves?
Figure it out yourself.
But she said it was someone I don't know. What?
Look for her. Find her. Embrace her.
But that's...
You're really pathetic. I thought you knew Yuna better than that.
I thought I did.
Thought you did.
What is this, relationship advice from
I hate
Lulu?
to interrupt, but Sin? Those two knew it was hopeless, but
Who said it was hopeless?
what?
I mean, Sin came back, right?
Is
What's
Lulu
to
saying
stop
that
anything else from coming
Yuna
back?
was just saying
Does
that?
mean... I didn't quite understand, so I looked at Tidus. With furrowed brows, he looked intently at the mayor, then suddenly opened his eyes wide.
We have to go.
Yeah.
Who in the world wanted Sin back, though? That's what I want to know, too. Hey! Koji Fox.
I was as confused as ever, but I couldn't ask. All I could ask was... I wonder where they are now.
Wherever they are, we have to get there.
Even though she dumped you?
I made a promise that we'd always be together.
Really? The mushy stuff now, I thought? But as I saw the pain in his face, I could say nothing.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Lady Yuna's getting hounded.
I will defeat sin. I must defeat sin.
Iconic scenes. Nice pictures. Is that it? There has to be more, right? Oh, look at those! Those are different character drawings. That looks like Titus and Yuna. Yuna has long hair there. Yuna had long hair. And Titus had a headband. Well, that's interesting. Was that supposed to be... Is that supposed to be a setup for... 10-3? Any 10-3 fans? 10-3 will come out someday. I'm thinking that was supposed to be set up for 10-3. You're a 10-3 pro? Yeah. I will wait 10,000 years for 10-3. That had to be a setup. Wait, but here's my question. Was Yuna actually... Did Yuna actually... No one probably knows the answer to this. Was Yuna just playing that card? Where she's like, I'm in love with someone else. But then she's not actually. She just wanted to see what Titus was gonna do. Because the way Lulu... You think so? Yeah. Because the way Lulu was... the conversation Lulu and Titus had. She was just like basically smacking him on the head, be like, are you that dumb? She doesn't actually love anyone else. She just was saying that. Yeah. Yeah, and also, ain't no way Titus is gonna be doing anything else with whoever this Marfy girl is after he's given a second chance at life. You gotta be one crazy dude to do that. But yeah, I mean, alright, hold on. FF10-3 release date, when? Wow, look at this. People are still making threads on Reddit about this. Nice. Titus looks like a Chad. Yeah, but still, Titus is gonna be loyal, dude. He has to be. No way. Let's see what this person says. Personally, I want FF10-3 to be released. Me too, dude. After they finish remake story. Okay, see you in 20 years. Of course. Breakup of Titus and Yuna pissed me off the most. They didn't break up though. They didn't break up. I really want them to be together. Also, with Sin coming back at the end of 10 Will audio drama, I want to see connection between 10 and... Alright, dude. It's over. Why? You really went there, huh? You really went there. Oh my dude, you went there. Come on. He really went there. Connection between 10 and 7. Oh no, dude, no. No. After the ending of 10-3, time moving forward to many, many years, and it stops at the opening of FF7 Remake. No, dude. No. We lost them. We lost them. Game Dreamer 21. He's been dreaming too much. Oh gosh, what did people say about this? I want 10-3 to be a prequel with the story of Jack Donner and Nebraska. That would not happen because of the audio drama, if you ask me. I'd rather have 10 remade. I hate the audio drama. La, 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 la. Did they actually break up though? I don't think they actually did though. It just felt like they had an argument, dude. Like one argument doesn't mean you broke up, right? Like, I mean, that's the way I read it or listened, interpreted it. Ever since the first time I heard it, I felt like they would break up. This can't happen though. They have to be together. My heart will break if it ever happens, dude. My heart will break if they break up. Nothing will be the same. There will only be pain in my heart, dude. I feel like this would only happen in the Kingdom Hearts Dream Fantasy world. Which, for their plot, isn't unrealistic. I haven't played Kingdom Hearts, but I've heard how crazy that story is. I hate the audio drama. I can't imagine I'm doing a good job with 10-3. I'd rather have a remake of 10 in the style of remake. That'd be cool. Square should literally just have a bunch of teams working on I don't know if remake, maybe remasters of the games in the style of 7 remake. Like the updated graphics, updated playstyle. Could you imagine playing FF8, FF9, FF10 in FF7 remake graphics, dude? Take my money now, dude. I'm probably gonna stop now though, but I just wanna look at some of these 10-3 threads really quick. Just see what people say about this. Thoughts? You know it's kind of garbage. What's more is that the devs over at Square are itching to make a new FF10 game with the audio drama in mind. Well, yeah, duh. It ended on a cliffhanger. I personally really hate it. I think it completely changes the story in a bad way, true. It forces the characters to go through recycled themes that no longer serve the storyline. Kinda true. I prefer a sequel that's... No. Oh, shoot. Did they actually separate, though? I feel like people are saying they separated. But I feel like they didn't. Like... Either I'm not reading enough into it, or they're reading too much into it. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Official update. The Curious Case of FF10-3. I kind of want to watch that. Not now, though. Maybe tomorrow. Or another time. 10-3. When? That's all I want to know. That's cool. But we have finally done it. We have finished everything that has to be done. read, played, listened to in terms of Final Fantasy X's universe. Pretty cool. A lot of it was good. A lot of it was not good. Yes, I am now a FF10 lore master. I can be like, do you even know who Bria is? Do you even know who Kush is? Do you even know how Titus came back in the good/perfect ending of FF10 2? I didn't play the last mission though, but I did watch the cutscenes. Did you even see how bad of a game last mission was? Should watch things you didn't know about FF10 someday. All right. Maybe I'll watch it. Let me see it. Let me look it up. Things you didn't know about FF10. I'll put it in like watch later or something. Which one? This one? There's like 20 of them. Which is the one? The 1.3 million? Do 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 do. La 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 la. He's the god? Okay, I'll put this in the watch later. I'll also put the FF10 3 video. Is that a good video? Does anyone know? It's got 500,000 views. It's gotta be. Oh, I'll put it there just for now. Just for now. He's the god of FF10, I see. I see. Well, now I am the next god of FF10. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm more of a 7 guy myself. But yeah. That's it for today. As you can see, I'm more of a 7 guy. That's it for tonight. 12 tomorrow? Probably. Yep. We'll start FF12. Actually, I'm gonna watch the videos first. About FF10. And 10.3, probably. And then we'll do FF12. I would watch it if I didn't end so late. I would probably watch it now, the videos about FF10. But as you can see, it is 2:37 a.m. So we're not gonna do that now. We'll do that tomorrow at the start, and then we'll start 12. 12's really good. You'll enjoy it for sure. All right, I'll take your word for it. There's only one thing I know about the game. Well, two. Fran, the bunny girl, the Vieira, and I think is Rabenaster from 12? I think it is, right? Maybe. Maybe not. It is? Okay. Yeah, because there's a raid series in 14, FF14, that I did. So it'll be cool. But yeah. Good night, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. It was a lot of fun. A lot of reading. That's the most reading I've done in a long time. Man. I didn't like the audio drama, to be honest, though. Wait. Very quickly. The audio drama, I don't know if I didn't really like it. I mean, it was setting up for something else, which is why it was very short and only briefly mentioned some things. I still am not convinced Titus and Yuna broke up, though, just from that. It just seemed like they were kind of having an argument there or whatever, but it didn't sound to me like they broke up at that point in time. But everyone seems to be saying that they did, but I mean, whatever. And then Yuna dies. No, Yuna does not die. It doesn't. Yeah, the conversation with Lulu is what really makes me think that they didn't break up. It was just that one conversation they had that was just a little weird. But then Lulu's like, hey, snap out of it, you doofus. She's not actually in love with anyone else. It's like the... Yeah, I have a girlfriend. You wouldn't know her. She goes to another school. She was just lying about it. Just to see what happens. But yeah. I really didn't read it that way, but everyone seems to be. But we'll never know because 10.3 is not out yet. Keyword yet. But yeah. I mean, there's not much to say about it. I mean, Sin's back. Like, that's just a way to make the game. It was a way to just make 10.3, right? If they ever make 10.3. But yeah. I mean, if it ever comes out, we'll see who's right and who's wrong. But yeah. Good night, everyone. That's it. Tomorrow we will watch the 2 videos about FF10 and 10.3, and then we'll start FF12. I have to make sure I buy it and download it before I start stream tomorrow. I'll have to make sure to do that. Last time I forgot to install FF10, so I had to stall for a bit. Any stallers? Alright, but yeah. See you later. Thanks for hanging out. It was cool, it was fun. But tomorrow we venture into a new world. Into a new universe of Final Fantasy. The world of Final Fantasy 12. Until then, I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. The emulator stream? What emulator stream? What do you mean? What do you even mean by that? Oh, okay. I mean, I used... What's it called? I used PCSX, whatever it's called. I used that to play Dirge. BlueStacks, I was going to use it to play the FF7 mobile game. It didn't work on it, though. Which is kind of funny. I also have a PSP one. That was for Crisis Core. But yeah. I mean, I technically could have just used the emulators to play all these games, but I wanted to have it in Steam. Plus, I wanted to buy the game. To be fair. The way it should be. Alright. Peace. I'm out. For real this time. It is a good emulator. Yeah, I played Crisis Core on that. On hard mode, too. But yeah. That's on YouTube if you want to watch it. Good night.